Ho ho ho! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's a Charlie Kirk Christmas. What's up, gamers? Hello. Yes, we're live. You think on this day of Christ I would leave you hanging? Of course not. Of course not. We're here for you. I'm here for you, gamers. Anyways, let me send out my link and we'll get started. One moment, my Discord is loading. It's taking a moment. Is it broken? Well, I guess we'll find out. I guess we will find out. Season's greetings. Hold on. Season's greetings, Bill Clockwell. Hope you're doing well. I actually hate Christmas, by the way. I don't know if I told you guys that, but it's like my least favorite holiday. Finally got a notification for a stream, eh? Hey, that's exciting, actually. Maybe they're gonna start sending those out more often. I hope so. There's not much going on. I mean, we got a couple things. Today I'm gonna dedicate the episode. I think I'm gonna move the Epstein episode till tomorrow. Just cause, you know, I had to engage in some festivities today and we're not streaming at the right time, but tomorrow I'll move the Epstein stuff. So today I just kind of thought about focusing it around like all these crazy MAGA dudes talking about Christmas. It's quite fun. They're all like, it's actually not pagan. Nick Freetells has that one. It's actually not pagan. Much like everything in our lives, it's actually derived from Christian, Anglo-Saxon Christians. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. Fucking loser. But all in due time. All in due time. Damn, am I like the only one streaming right now? That's funny. I like the winter, but most people say they prefer summer days. I don't get too reconciled with Christmas being the most wonderful time of the year. I personally love the summer, but it kind of feels like the summer where I'm at right now. It's like a cool 70 degrees right now, dude. It's crazy. Shout out to global warming, eh? I'm looking at some nice desert property here soon. I'm looking at some nice desert property, so I'm excited for that. Maybe if I play my cards right, I can get an oasis. Anyways. Let me share my link a little bit more. Dude, I really do just hate being like the only one that is streaming. That just breaks my heart, but it's alright. By the way, if you guys get any notification that this is, this is getting copyright struck, let me know. Let me know, because this says copyright-free music. That's what it says, okay? That's what it says on the tin. But I've ran into a couple of these quote-unquote copyright-free musics, and they end up not being copyright-free, so... But I thought something nice to be... Well, we're about to ditch it anyways. But I thought something nice to begin with was Trump's calls from children. Now, this is totally normal typically. Wait, is this Christmas music? Sometimes the claims are there. Well, I didn't see anything. And I guess this is in public domain, so it seems like they know what they're talking about, they're doing here, so it'll be some good filler music while people file in. How's your guys' Christmas going, though? You guys that celebrated out there, how's it going? Is it a Charlie Kirk Christmas for you? It's the tune in PD, but obviously I don't celebrate. Well, true. But I know there's a couple people out there in my chat that are Christians. So I like to ask them what they do, you know. And if they don't feel like chatting, totally understandable. But if you guys haven't liked the stream, I will appear behind you at night with a bag full of coal because you've been naughty and you didn't like the stream. So you better like this stream. Excuse me. Look at Trump here, by the way. Why? So I noticed that... Hold on, I want to get a wide shot of it. I don't know if they have it. Here it is. This is a... Like, look at them. They look like they're having an argument. That's gonna be fun. They do look like they're... Like, look, they're like, this is so awkward. Am I wrong? Like, this is so awkward. Sorry. Dropped my headphone. It looks like they're having an argument. Oh, sorry. You really should read the entire Bible. Join us. An atheism, brother. It's factually real. Well, it's a good thing that I actually hate... Well, I don't hate Christianity, but I'm not a Christian. But I don't discriminate against people who are Christians. But, you know, I don't really discriminate you know, I don't care if somebody's into religion or not. Yeah, I like people like James Tallarico. That's a good point, Bill. Like, I think the Bible can be interpreted in ways that are both good and bad. And so, who's discriminating? Well, you did just come in here and be like, your religion sucks! Like, would you do that with any other religion? Come on now. Not that, like, Christians are persecuted or anything. It's just, like, I don't know, kind of cringe. But, hey, I have no problem with atheism, brother. Do you see those words? Yeah, it's a Charlie Kirk Christmas. It's a Charlie Kirk Christmas, brother. Get in the spirit. Start celebrating, you know what I mean? Charlie would want you to celebrate right now. He wouldn't want you to be mad. I feel bad for the devil. Yeah, I know. Poor Charlie. He doesn't get to celebrate Christmas. Maybe they do celebrate Christmas down there. Christianity sucks, never left my mouth, but it did yours. Well, you're right. I'm an evil, I'm a demon. You're right. You got me, man. Fucking got me wrecked. Why did the music stop? What track are we playing that's so goddamn important? In the words of Charlie Kirk. Ah! Oh. You know, it is ironic that his last words were about gun violence. Very interesting, huh?
Hello, good evening.
God damn it, I keep forgetting we're in the beginning section. I'm trying to make the stream a little more structured, I guess would be the best word. His last word was literally violence, yeah. He was a piece of shit racist, yeah, I agree, totally. And it's just like, the deification of Charlie Kirk is crazy, dude. Like, the right is treating him like a fucking patron saint or something. And I don't even, like, to be quite honest, it's kind of gross, you know? Like, like, Charlie's kids are gonna know all about this, you know what I mean? And I highly doubt they appreciate all this, like all this worship basically of his dad, of their dads, but what do I know, you know? My favorite part of the Bible is when Jesus overturned the Charlie Kirk Memorial merch table. I mean, honestly, if you applied it in a modern context, straight up, like, you know, these people do not even read their own Bible, you know? But it's whatever. We'll get them. We will. People could have went and taken peace selfies. Yeah, if I am ever murdered, please hold a memorial where I am rarely mentioned. None of my family shows up. There are fireworks and merch sold in the lobby. Right? Like... Oh geez, this is interesting. Interesting song to be playing. But, right? I just feel bad. Like, obviously I don't like Charlie, but, like, this is honestly the words I would use is like disgraceful. You know what I mean? It's just disgraceful. But I think the American people are waking up to it, to be quite honest. Like, I really do. And there are speakers that admit later, well, I wasn't that close to Charlie, right? Like, then why were you acting like you were his, you know, best friend? But these people are, we're gonna go through videos that just show how hollow and fake they are. Damn it, Porg. Elon keeps getting your damn comments, man. Grok's on your ass this quarter. Grok's on your ass. Alright, I think we can probably get on to the show. What do you guys think? Oh, that's not what I wanted to play. Alright, stop that. Yeah, I hate Christmas music, to be quite honest. And Benny said that would go on to speak at an aesthetic about liking Charlie again a second time after admitting they weren't friends, right? Well, they're just shameless, dude. They are just absolutely shameless. They're willing to basically get rid of their humanity just for a quick buck. Like I don't think that's like putting Charlie Kirk's image on your merch website. That's like against everything in my opinion uh that we've like fought for, and it's just disgusting. Amfest corrected to an aesthetic. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, dude. That Benny Amfest stuff was quite funny. He was pissed. Alright, anyways, for our first video today, we have Donald Trump looking as a Nemur. He looks like a real skeleton right here. Do you guys see it too? Is this the right... Did they... Is this the right clone? It doesn't look like they cloned him right. They got the jaw all wrong. Look, that's not a Trump jaw. Yeah, dude. The cloning... Dude, I'm telling you, since the federal workforce layoff, the cloning facilities have just been not great. Like, not great at all. And you can tell, like, look at this. This is not... Like, I don't know. This is not the right clone.
North America to track Santa. Before we connect you to each caller.
Like what? See, I think that's like, look, he's having biological malfunctions.
A member of our team will briefly share the child's first name, age, and city and state where they're calling from.
We got excited at age. Well, unfortunately, some things just don't. Some things you just can't. You can't negate in the cloner, and Donald Trump's predilections towards children is one of them.
As well as they'll give you Santa's current location. Then there's going to be a brief pause as we connect the child's call, and then they'll be placed directly on the line with you.
Damn it.
And then you'll hear our team let the child know that they're connected with you, the president.
That sounds great, General.
Any questions?
Well,
okay.
General,
Our caller is ready for you if you are.
thank you very much. Go ahead.
Perfect.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I am now connecting you to Anastasia, who is 4 years old, and Jasper, who is 10 years old. They live in Sepulta, Oklahoma, and Santa is currently headed for...
Hold on. Okay, so this wouldn't be that bad, but given all the stuff that's been going on recently, this does not look great. You'll see what I mean.
Oh, very good. That's very exciting. Good. Let me have them.
Oh, Donald, don't use that language. Let me have them. Buddy, I don't think anybody should be, anybody should be letting you have anything to do with children. Let me have them.
Hello?
Hello. Hi. How are you? This is the president.
Hello, you are... Oh my goodness, Jasper, Amy, hello, hold on 1 second.
Hello, Brad.
The president.
How are you?
It's the president.
Hello, everybody. Hi.
Merry Christmas.
I love Oklahoma, by the way.
Some
Thank you. Merry Christmas to you. Hi.
milk.
Merry Christmas.
Christmas.
Thank you very much, honey. Very much. Very happy Christmas and Happy New Year to you.
Happy Christmas? I don't think that's what they say, Donald Trump. Look at Donald Trump. Ugh, just wokeifying his language. Happy Christmas? You mean Merry Christmas, sir.
Flying over.
Thank
Very
you.
sweet.
Do you have a question to ask?
You have a
He's
question?
over Germany right
Yeah.
now. So
What's your
a
question?
few hours and he will be at your house.
They ain't got the time.
Yes. What did you ask Santa to bring you?
Go ahead. You can take your time.
Oh, wow.
Go ahead,
You
huh?
love video games?
on him.
Yes.
Right?
I hope he will be
Yeah.
all right.
Go
I hope
ahead.
the dreams come true.
That has a tracker on him.
Okay.
Well, we track Santa all over the world. We want to make sure that Santa is being good. Santa's a very good person. We want to make sure that he's not infiltrated, that we're not
What?
infiltrating into our country a bad.
Who the hell is infiltrating Santa's operation? That's crazy. What's black and blue and in the trunk of Donald Trump's car? I'm not sure, DJ. What would it be?
Santa. So we found out that Santa is good.
Thank you. Bye.
Santa loves
Thank
you.
Dad.
Santa loves Oklahoma like I do. You know,
The good
Oklahoma was
Santa.
very good to me in the election, so I love Oklahoma. Don't ever
What
leave
are you
Oklahoma.
doing talking
okay?
about your election here? Dude, what?
Okay, I'll try.
Good. That's good.
Hey,
And
Annie, you got a question?
go ahead, hon.
You want when Santa? Hey, you want to ask when Santa's gonna be here? Okay, ready?
Yeah,
Okay, when is Santa gonna be here?
the Santa's gonna be here.
Well, Santa's going to stop over tonight, leave you a lot of beautiful presents, like really beautiful presents. What do you want more than anything else? What present would you like?
Hello, Emily.
Oh, this is horrible. This is absolutely horrible. These poor, oh, I feel so bad for these poor parents that are gonna have to go out and buy all new presents because old Donny Boy said it would be, Santa would get them. Poor parents, honestly. I just feel so bad for them.
Hello. Merry Christmas.
Wow, a dollhouse. I think we can work that out. I
Hey,
have a
what's up, Conduit? Good to see you. How are you doing? Just gonna listen in? Hey, but Conduit, by the way, if you guys don't know, is an amazing content creator. He just put out a very great video about Asmongold. Go check him out. He is a really good content creator. Can't say enough about him. We'll be going over his video at some point on the stream. Today we've got a Rightoid Christmas, but look forward to that because I'm excited to watch it with you guys.
feeling, Mommy, that we can work that out, right?
Family.
I think Santa's going to bring you the most beautiful dollhouse you've ever seen, okay? Let me know how good the dollhouse is, but we owe a lot to Santa, so I think Santa will fulfill your wish, okay?
I look forward to it too. So
We know a lot about Santa. We've got the deets on Santa. You know, I think one of the biggest fears I have is that Santa maybe in the Epstein files. I've heard some rumors. That would be, Trump lost most of his people skills unless he's talking to a Ugandan. Yeah, we can speed it up. No clue how to talk to children? Oh, hell no. Well, never mind. I'm not going to make that joke. But, Donald, yeah, anyways.
Thank you, honey. Take care of yourself. Merry Christmas. Say hello to Oklahoma. We love Oklahoma, okay? Thank you.
All right, Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you, darling. Thank you very much. Okay, next.
Emily, you hear me?
I figure you should hear some of this, otherwise you're not going to know what's going on.
Oh, maybe she's shy, right?
And she's very good at not listening to this. She's very focused. First
Like, listen, it sounds like they're having an argument. It sounds like they're having an argument right now. Look at them.
She's very focused. Okay, you can go ahead. Next one. General.
I think it would be when it would be very dark, very
Yes,
late
the
at night,
without
when it
dropping
would be
anyone
dark.
in, did you
Yes,
want
so
to
I think it's best if they go to sleep. Emily, it's best if you go to sleep, and then Santa will arrive to your house.
Do you like this better, hearing it? It's better for you. And she's able to focus totally without listening to this. At least this way you know what's happening.
Bro, they're arguing. There's no way they're not arguing, like, behind the scenes. Look, yeah, she's listening. Not listening to me, but, you know, it's whatever. I don't care. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, go ahead.
I'd be upset. You know, if I was Melania, I'd be upset too. If I thought I was going to spend the day of Christmas Eve with my husband, and instead I got served this clone.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, we are passing you to Anna. She's 8 years old and she's from Salisbury, North Carolina.
Good, good. Hi, how are you? Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Good. Good. I like North Carolina.
Hi, how are you doing, okay?
You and your family.
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
How are you?
I'm fine. You sound so beautiful and cute.
Oh, bro, don't say that. I mean, come on. You gotta have some sort of, what's it called? Like self-awareness. Oh, we've got one. Calvin and Hobbes. I know it's Calvin and Hobbes. Christmas with your husband? Bro, you're a guy. You can't have a husband. Marriage is between a man and a woman. All right. Well, I disagree. Anyways.
How old are you?
I'm 8.
Wow, so smart. You sound so smart. So do you have a question for Santa, or do you want to know anything about Santa?
So I do have another question.
Go ahead.
So,
Oh, this is a good question. Hold on.
I don't know.
Hold on, Calvin and Hobbes. Your homophobia is, I'm not going to let your homophobia ruin this very important question.
So will Santa ever get mad if we don't leave him out any cookies?
Ooh. Okay, now this is a question. Well, you just disproved yourself right there. This country is ruled by the Constitution, not the Bible.
This was getting good. Well, go ahead, say it again, honey.
Oh, he had to really think about that. He had to really think about it. He was stumped on that one, ladies and gentlemen.
Go ahead. Will Santa ever get mad?
Will Santa ever get mad if we don't leave him out any cookies?
I think he will get mad.
He had to, Donald Trump had to give himself some more time. What did you say again? Milk and cookies. So if you don't leave the milk out, then that you obviously can't, then Santa's mouth is going to get dry. But if you just leave the milk out, then he's obviously not going to have enough energy to go through the rest of his day. So you do kind of need the milk and cookie equation, but what if you don't leave any out? Then that's a disaster scenario, really. What did you say again, sweetie?
But I think he'll be very disappointed. You know, he tends to be a little bit on the cherubic side. You know what cherubic means? A little on the heavy side. I think Santa would like some cookies. You'd like to leave some cookies for Santa, right?
Yes.
But you're not going to forget. You'll leave some. I would leave them. I think Santa has a serious appetite.
Calvin and Hobbes is doing something that I'm going to start coining. I call it the sun god theory, the sun god fallacy, right? Where it's like, if you go far enough back in time, we all worshipped the god as a sun. So all the laws should be dictated by the sun god and what the sun god believed at the time.
Yes.
Right? And it's so good to talk to you. Are you looking for something specific from Santa? What would you like to have as a present?
Are you waiting for Santa?
Do you know where it's
Well, that's nice. Well, you just take care of yourself. North Carolina is a great place. It's a great place.
Yes.
And you're surrounded by great people and great parents, and say hello to them, okay?
He will be very confident.
Okay.
Thank you, honey. Take care of yourself. Good. Say hello to Santa if you should see him. Goodbye. Bye.
Goodbye.
Thank you, General. Go ahead.
What did you ask Santa for?
General, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. President, your operator will be.
But if you actually read the readings of our founders, Calvin and Hobbes, you'll find that they very much were not in line with the modern day belief of Christian thinkings. They were very much not Christianly men, as you would say. And you could read the founders' writings and the Constitution itself and the Bill of Rights as an outright rejection of Christianity, because the Christianity at the time believed that the king was endowed by God, and they're rejecting that notion that the king is endowed by God. That is literally rejecting the notion of Christianity. So you haven't read them then. Checkmate. Hey, Calvin and Hobbes, how about you contend with what I just said?
Okay?
Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic.
Can I sit
So
up,
Merry
right?
Christmas.
That's beautiful. This way you can hear what's going on. I think it's a little bit better.
Oh, that's very nice.
One-sided calls are never good,
I wish you all the best. All the best.
but they're much less dangerous.
With Amelia, age 8, from Anthony, Kansas.
Good.
And Anna is currently in Sweden.
Okay. Santa's in Sweden.
Hello?
You
Hi.
are connected with the President of the United States.
Hi. How are you?
Where's Santa? How long until Santa will be?
Okay, well, Santa's now in Sweden. So Santa's got...
But the thing is, you can always, like, our founders were varied and diverse. So you can, you know, pick and choose whoever you really want to fit your narrative nowadays. How about we contend with, like, the law as it is now? You know what I mean?
quite a trip to get to your great area, your great part of the world, because you live in a terrific place. But I would say Santa will make it in record time, probably in about 5 hours. 5 hours from now, Santa will be coming down your chimney and have a beautiful present for you. What would you like Santa to bring?
Not cold.
Not coal. No, you don't want coal. Well, coal is, you mean clean, beautiful coal. I had to do that, I'm sorry. No, coal is clean and beautiful. Please remember that at all costs. But you don't want clean, beautiful coal, right?
No.
What would you like?
Barbie, the Nancy Girl doll.
Barbie? Okay. Well, you'll get that, I'm sure. What else? Anything else?
Clothes.
Calvin and Hobbes, I just want you to think, what would happen if you said you weren't a Christian man in that society? Please enlighten me on the societal roles that you would be allowed if you said you weren't a Christian man. You are very small-minded if you think that's an argument. What does "we hold these truths to be self-evident" mean? What? Do I need to explain what that means? I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Clothes, good. That's good.
Candy.
Candy, well, candy is good. Candy is good. Do you eat candy? Do you eat much candy?
Not all.
Well, you eat as much as you want. Be healthy, okay? But Santa's gonna be there in about 5 hours, leaving Sweden right now. He's taking care of Sweden.
Oh, here we go. Made by Christians for Christians. Then why does it explicitly carve out freedom of religion? For Christians? Stop with the cope, Calvin. You're not... No, this is America is America. It's not a Christian nation. Okay? Stop with this bullshit.
Leaving right now, okay?
Okay.
And he's gonna have beautiful presents. And say hello to your mom and dad, okay, honey?
Okay.
Okay, bye. Bye.
America is about freedom, liberty, and justice for all, buddy. I don't hear adherence to the Bible in any of those three things. Freedom of religion, but it's a Christian nation. See how that doesn't make any sense? Yeah, it's freedom of religion, but you're forced to be a Christian or you're going to be excluded from things. Freedom from religion. Amen. That's why. So please tell me, why did they make it so apparent that there was a separation from church and state, Calvin? No, it doesn't say freedom, liberty, and justice for all Christian things. That is such cope on a level I've never been seen in my life. I've never seen this level of cope. It's historic.
Thank you very much.
But
Thank you, Mom.
anyways,
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna actually
Take care of
talk
yourself.
about the video now, because I did kind of just absolutely smack you down in the floor of debate.
Sounds like you have a beautiful daughter. Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye. It's fun, right?
If you want to come in the Discord
This is
and
America.
talk about it, you can.
Okay, I'm ready, General. See, she just keeps storming through.
Perfect, thank you. Hello, Walker. Hi, how are you?
Hey, Jenna.
Merry Christmas. Do you know where Santa is
Okay.
right now?
Thank you.
He's over Sweden. Yeah? Did you tracking him? Yeah?
Sorry, it takes a second to get him from line to line.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, perfect.
No
What did you
problem.
ask Santa? What do you want for Christmas? You don't know.
This is
It's
nice
still a
room.
time, maybe, right?
You like the room,
Okay.
everybody?
So
Yes. No ceiling height
Santa is
problem.
green,
Plenty of room for your
So he will be
for your mics,
here
right?
to have.
Let's see.
They look
You have
like they're
access
having
to
an
this?
argument, dude. What do you think they thought about?
Rather, okay. Say hello to him.
Mr. President,
Oh,
you're
so
connecting you
small.
to Crew. He is 5 years old from State College, Pennsylvania. And Santa is currently in Copenhagen, Denmark.
Whoa, that's pretty good.
Merry Christmas,
Hi, how are
Whoa.
you?
Merry Christmas, Mom.
Hi, Crew.
I'm Pennsylvania.
Right, I know. Oh, Pennsylvania's great. We won Pennsylvania. Actually, 3 times, but we went
Well, I'm
Pennsylvania.
glad your book does that, but we actually have laws that do that, so we don't need your book. We have laws for that, luckily. Yeah, we don't need your book. We have laws that are based in legal proceedings that go back hundreds of years that are not based in your Bible at all. It's very interesting, actually.
We won it in a landslide, so I love Pennsylvania. So Santa right now is in Copenhagen, Denmark, and he's heading toward our country. What would you like from Santa?
A 3D pen, and I want glazed digger, and I want train stuff and a robot.
Well, you'll get all of it. Mom, I think he's going to get all of it, don't you think, from Santa?
Thank you, Merry Christmas, General.
I think so. He was really good.
Well, he
Also,
sounds like he could
I've always wondered who the fuck wrote the Bible, right? We say it's like one dude, but then these Christians are like it's written by God. I never understood that, and I used to be a deep Christian. You know what I mean? Like, who the fuck wrote this thing? Like, we're just taking, who the fuck was it? Hey, Calvin, who the fuck wrote the Bible? Oh, it's written by a bunch of dudes. Okay, okay. So, like, it's just a collection of stories? I don't know. Someone said God brought the Bible. I must have laughed for hours. That's good. 40 different authors over 1,500 years. Jesus, man. God needs to really get his, he needs to get his word out a little quicker, you know what I mean? Like, couldn't you say that in a little less time, man? I mean, Jesus, dude. 1,500 years? You got motherfuckers dying just to write this thing.
I think he's got a good mom too, right?
Yeah, we love President Trump, right?
That's so nice.
Yeah. I voted.
Oh, wow. I'll bet your mom voted properly. Well, we love that wonderful place you come from. You know, we have very good feelings about it. We did so well there, so I appreciate it, Mom. Okay? Pennsylvania's a great place.
Oh, the upper estimate is like 90. Jesus. Exactly. That's how you know it's true. So when Axolotl sacrificed his third son on the steps of the Aztecian pyramids, does that mean it was true? That's how you know it's true. When he sacrificed, oh, what's the wind serpent? I don't remember, but when he sacrificed his son to the wind serpent, that meant it's real, because people died for it. See how dumb that is? Very brain dead argument.
Really great place. So I want to thank you and good luck. And I hope you get everything you want, but I think Santa will come through. He's heading here from Denmark, and he should be here in about 5 hours, but you'll be sleeping.
Oh, okay. I said axolotl. Okay. Axolotl is the lizard. Got you. Hey, I used to love Mayan mythology is so fucking cool, dude.
Right? When you wake up in the morning, you're going to be the happiest young man.
You got Chalk, dude. God of Thunders. He's sick.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
excited.
You're excited. Well, I'm excited too, because the country's doing well. And Mom, thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Mom.
You're welcome. Merry Christmas, President Trump.
And you too and your whole family. Thank you, darling. Take care of yourself. Bye.
Thank you. Take
Bye.
care. Bye.
Thank you.
I am coming across a little anti-religion. I'm not, like, if you are Christian, Muslim, Jewish, any of these, like, monotheistic religions, I obviously have no issue with you. I want to make that apparent. It's just when you use your Bible as justification to try to change our laws or try to change people in a way that conforms to your specific outlook on the world, that's when I have an issue with it. Axolotl is a lizard. It's like amphibian, so they took it and just put it into Pokemon basically unchanged. Shout out. My favorite Pokemon is Keyring, the Keyring Pokemon.
Nice, right? Could do this all day long. We have to get back to China, Russia, Ukraine. We have to get back to other things, but you can do this all day long. Okay, General, we're ready.
Yes, Mr. President. We'll work that one through.
Okay? 4.3 GDP yesterday. That was 2 points more than they thought. People were shocked. The tariffs did it. When the tariffs came through, as I said they would. Great numbers, great financial numbers. I don't think the kids are too interested in that. I think they like to talk about other things.
Yeah, I don't think they do either, Donald. Is he just always on the campaign trail? He's always on the campaign trail, ladies and gentlemen. His history is from there. I mean, yeah, I think so about like mythologies and stuff. I used to be really deep into Greek mythology. That was my shit for a while, dude. As a kid, that was my stuff, bro. Loved Greek mythology. He loves to lie all the time. Yeah, I know. It's just it gets kind of just gets pathetic at a certain point, you know. It's Christmas, bro. Can you talk about anything else other than the tariffs or your most recent legal proceedings? I'll tell you one thing he doesn't want to talk about is these Epstein files, and neither does something else that's crazy is the right-wing apparatus. You would not even know about the Epstein files releases if you just listen to right-wing media. You wouldn't even know they exist. It's very kind of uncanny, to be quite honest. You'd see Democrats talk about stuff when Joe Biden fucked up, but you will not see a peep, and it's really weird, dude. I'm sorry, like it's weird. The exhausting problem with the grifting con men is they can't afford to stop repeating the con. Very true. Well, I don't know. Trump has fucking quadrupled his wealth since he's been in power. But don't you worry, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I do think the next president needs to be a much more unifying president. We need to unify against the criminals that took advantage of the American people's trust. Like this sicko, Pam Bondi, Kash Patel. They all need to go down, dude. They all need to go down. And I think we'll be able to, like each conviction, I do feel would restore the Americans' people's trust. And the trials have to be public. They have to be like, this is what's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We're not falsifying evidence. We're not, this is what's happening. Trump has 19 R words and 34 felonies, and now he's our president. Yeah, and that is sad, but I do want you to remember that the American people at the time voted on the economy, and there was this huge right-wing apparatus that the liberals and like us liberals and other leftist creators didn't really know how to deal with at the time. And so it led to a lot of misinformation getting spread. And by the time of the election, the American people voted more on what they thought would be a better economy, which obviously Trump lied. But, so I don't hate MAGA, you know what I mean? I think they just got sold a huge fucking lie. Every Democratic president in history has helped lower the national debt and make an economy stronger. Yeah, and I wish if we had a bigger liberal media presence, we'd be able to tell people that and show people that. You know what I mean? Bill Clinton paid off the national debt and gave us a $3 billion surplus for the first time, the greatest deflation in history. Yeah, but if you try to tell people that, they'll just, I don't know, there's like a mental block. Another despicable Democrat. Yeah, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here.
How are you doing, First Lady? Oh, look at you.
I'm waiting for a phone call.
This is the greatest First Lady. People love our First Lady, right, honey?
Yeah.
Look at her. How elegant is the First Lady? Look at you. I'm not supposed to be doing this.
Matt, anybody else? Are they calling? They do? Okay.
She's like, I would pop his head if I could. Like a pimple.
Okay, perfect.
Is that her last call? Okay, but General, I'm ready.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think that one coming through right now.
See, we put a general in charge because we want to make sure it works out right.
Result of informational globalization. I would say, yeah, I mean, like, if you want to really zoom out, really, it's because our social media properties don't really have any regulation. They are allowed to pump out disinfo. They're allowed to get people hooked onto algorithms. And I just don't think our laws are governing it well. So if we had better regulation on social media to where there's not as addictive algorithms, you're not, stuff like that, we would see, I think we'd start to see a decrease in this vitriol toward the other side. But also, there's a lot of other things we can do, like getting rid of gerrymandering, which would really, really lead to better politicians getting elected and more people getting better representations. Vote socialist, vote Democrat. I mean, I'm more of a liberal. I wouldn't quite say I'm more for, like, I'm a liberal that advocates for social programs because I think social programs benefit the private sector. It helps it grow. I can talk to someone in a bad country and find out, wow, it's not so bad. Multiply that by zillion combos. Yeah. Gavin Newsom, Bernie Sanders for president 2028. Well, hey, if Bernie's still kicking, I wouldn't mind it, but I would be even, hey, an AOC maybe type. But if we want a really secure ticket, I feel like Gavin Newsom and maybe, the VP ticket is interesting, right? Because unlike the Republican VPs, we typically like a VP that actually does something. CA Gov Nas Goosum. Okay, so number one, Prop 50 was left up to the people, unlike Texas, who did it unconstitutionally and just did it without the people's consent. Prop 50 was left up to the people and it was by the people. You can't say that about any of your little gerrymandered states. So get wrecked.
Did you make a Christmas list? Yes?
You guys going back or are you going to stay here?
Oh, we've got a real free thinker here, ladies and gentlemen. Vote your idol, master slaves.
But the country is excited. We're doing well.
Don't worry. I feel as though democracy will have its faith restored after the next president. I really do. I think what you're gonna see is a massive rejection of this disgusting radical plan that Donald Trump is implementing.
Mr. President,
yes.
I have Spencer, both of you age 10 and second age 6. They're from Tacoma, Washington.
Good. Wow. That's great. Hi. How are you both? Okay?
Yeah, Spencer, second, you are on phone with the President of the United States.
And you know who I have here with me? The First Lady.
For the country folk, my daddy said it. Money is like cow shit. Stack it up, and you get a steaming pile of useless shit. Spread it around and fertilize, and you grow things. That is a great. I actually really like that. I really like that. Like, yeah, why should billionaires be allowed to hoard their wealth and not spread it amongst the communities? Like, I know a lot of rural communities that would benefit from just any sort of help at all. You know what I mean? Especially like these more rural communities that are suffering from a real lack of infrastructure. The roads are bad. There's so many closed down shops that could just use a boost. Yeah, Barack Obama did get a real Nobel Peace Prize. That's a great point. And FDR is the greatest, I'd say, president in history. Some would say Democratic. I'd say president. He took us from a country in debt, we were just doing horribly, to a powerhouse of the world. A literal powerhouse that stopped the damn Nazis. I mean, come on. Now we're not going to talk about his civil rights stuff. Let's not get into that. But
Lady. We have the First Lady of the United States. That's exciting. That's more exciting than the President, actually. Go ahead. So, you know where Santa is? Santa is very far away, but heading to your state. Very quickly, heading to your state. So, and what do you want from Santa?
Oh, that's a hard one. For me, I probably most want a Kindle this year.
You want what?
A Kindle.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good. Well, you must be a high IQ person.
FDR killed Hitler. Hey, that's all I'm saying. I mean, you know, it's kind of badass when you kill the H guy, you know.
We need more high IQ
I know
people in the
he
country.
didn't kill him personally, but
We definitely need more high IQ. So,
Oh, I was.
the pressure, I mean,
I'll make your own pinball machine.
oh, pinball machine. That's great. You know, Elton John, he did Pinball Wizard. We'll have to send you a copy of Pinball Wizard. Well, that sounds great.
no, dude, they're not gonna know what Pinball Wizard is.
Actually, so Santa's not going to let you down. Santa is a good Santa. Not going to let you down. Mom,
As opposed to the bad Santa, it looks like he's kind of getting his programming. You know, these clones, they kind of, their social adherence chips are a little wonky. So he knows there's like a difference between a good clone and a bad clone. So he kind of applies it to like every person. Like there's a good Melania, bad Melania, a good Santa, bad Santa.
how are you doing, okay?
We're fantastic, sir. Thank you so much for taking the call.
Oh, absolutely. You sound fantastic. And the kids sound great, right? They sound great. The country's doing well.
Yeah.
Saved our country. Our country's...
Mike, you're speaking to a big issue in America right now, and it's the monopolies that a lot of companies have. Like, I say this almost every day on my broadcast. There should be 4 Amazons. There should be 10 Walmarts, you know? This mass conglomerization of these companies have just led to monopolies, which is why there's so many poor worker conditions, because the companies don't have to compete with anybody else, so they're allowed to treat their workers like shit. What, are you going to go to the other Amazon warehouse? Yeah, there is none. Suck it up, buddy. Here's a bottle to piss in. It's kind of funny. I'm not going to lie. I saw somebody walk in with an Amazon. I think it was like a manager or something. And I was just talking. I was like, yeah, how's the unionization efforts in Amazon going? And he just clamped up. He was like, that is adorable, actually. Thank you for pointing that out, Bill. Yeah, it's we need to just break up these companies and put some more rate. You know, Jeff Bezos shouldn't be one of the rich, you know, he shouldn't be worth that much. But there are ways to do this, you know, and there are ways we can put into laws, ways to make these companies actually adhere to our laws and regulations. And anyways, I'm kind of getting something distracted me. I apologize. But yeah, let's break up these companies. Let's have them actually treating their workers like workers rather than just treating them like some sort of loser working class.
Not going so good. Now it's doing great. Great numbers, great everything. So we're in very good shape. It's going to be a good Christmas. But I just want to thank you, and I think that Santa's going to really be good to you tonight. Be coming to your area in about 6 or
Well,
7.
I think it's a little, Michael, I think it's a little more nuanced than they just buy the law. I think it has a lot to do with, you do speak on like these conglomerations of companies that get together, like the Heritage Foundation, for example, and then they influence law in that way. And I think that is a little bit more scummy. Like, I'm okay. Can I hop on? Here in a little, Lily. I think we're gonna watch this and then a couple other videos, and then I'll do some call-ins. But yeah, I'm totally down here in a minute. US Ronald Reagan is at 300% inflation. George Bush, 400%. I don't know about those numbers. Hell yeah. By the way, go check out Lily. She's an amazing content creator. We have a lot of viewers. Remind people, oh yeah, by the way, guys, if you're enjoying the stream, remember to like and subscribe. I can't really see my view count right now, so I don't know what it is at, but if you guys are enjoying the stream, please remember to like and subscribe.
7 hours when you're sleeping, but Santa's going to be very good to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
No, thank you, honey. And have a great Christmas. And Mom, have a great Christmas, okay? And your family.
Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. You sound so great. You sound great, and your kids sound great. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, sir.
Nice talking to you. And General, thank you very much. You did a good job. That's not easy coordination, actually. Thank you. You too, General. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Bye.
And fuck these children. I hate children. I hate them. Anyways, clone 72 there, going off. But now that we're done with Donald Trump's call-ins, we got a little bit of rightoid media to bring you, and then we'll do some call-ins today. It sounds like a fun time. So, to begin with, we have Benny Johnson saying, "We won. Heartwarming pro-family Christmas ads go viral as businesses abandon woke." Oh. Dude, I actually hate Benny's fucking stupid little beginnings. Look at this, watch. Country turns so red it looks like Santa sack. Celebrities pack their bags and never come back. Oh fuck, this is copyrighted. This fucking loser. It's copyrighted. Watch, I bet I got a copyright strike for that. Hold on, guys. This guy's a little loser, I'm telling you. Stream health. All right, we're good. We're good. Well, I don't know. It probably is AI, but I'm just gonna be safe and not risk it. I like John Fetterman. Dude, John Fetterman isn't a Democrat. I mean, he is, but there's something going on with him. I don't know.
Yo, what's up, guys? Merry Christmas. We're here.
Yo, what's up, guys? Merry Christmas. It's Benny, the least straight man on YouTube.
Right now, letting the kids run around, get the let out. Hopefully they'll sit still for Christmas dinner. A reminder that it is all about family and the Christ child this Christmas season, and we're seeing an incredible trend in advertising. Advertising redirecting the actual purpose of Christmas to its rightful center, the family, and to Christ.
To its rightful center. Fetterman is an actor, a fraud. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily that. So, I think he's just going through depression. He seems depressed to me. If you want to know, and I don't mean to like use that in a mean way. It just, he does not seem like things are necessarily going super well. And he just seems depressed.
Jesus and to the bonds that really make life worth living. And that's been a wonderful thing to see. Starting here, some of my favorite Christmas ads of the season with an Apple ad of all things.
Of all things, Apple. Trump's trying to make America turn into communism. Well, believe it or not, with his buying of 10% of Intel, you're not necessarily off the track with that.
Here we go, and you can hear it right here.
Last week, I think I know what it is. You seen this? Oh, guys, thank you. No,
this is fucking terrifying. Erica has moved on. Why can't you? Yeah, Erica's all about that JD Vance. Does this poor dad have PTSD? What the hell?
John, listen.
John, she's not there anymore. The crash wasn't your fault. Bro, this is giving the crash wasn't your fault vibes.
Light the fire.
Bro, what? Oh.
You place the flowers in the vase.
New hearing aid feature. Okay.
That you bought today.
Well, I guess that's cool.
I'm so excited. Here you go, Haley.
I still just think the PTSD vibe is strange for Christmas. Uninterrupted. Okay, this might be copyrighted actually.
Of course, proves that it's all about.
By your definition, because he has some moderate views, why not call him a... That's not my definition of a Nazi, my brother. You're projecting.
Moving on to a Chevrolet ad that was released this year that, of course, proves that it's all about the ride and it's all about the memories that we make together as a family.
I don't think it's just depression. I think he might be having a breakdown, like he left work random without telling anyone to visit a childhood friend who died. He was a kid's grave and drove hours. Yeah, that's just sad. I hate, it's, that's why I advocate so much for mental health treatment. Anyways, if you guys are enjoying, by the way, please remember to like and subscribe. It helps the channel and it really boosts things out. The MAGA base won't go for JD with a brown wife. Erica will make a fine first lady, though. Well, those are some rumblings that I've been hearing.
I had a Chevy Suburban like this growing up. Did you? It was like the exact car that I grew up in. Brilliant ad.
Wow. Here's a brilliant ad.
Are we feeding an army?
Pies are in the fridge. Hon, did you get the casseroles?
Yeah, back seat.
Let's go.
It's Christmas time. It's snowing.
Willie!
Democrats work for the American people. Amen.
Don't keep all the good stuff
It's a fight between public servants and con men right now.
up to yourself.
I was just thinking about the first time that we did this drive. The great diaper explosion of 1992.
Family.
The Christmas tree farm.
Don't even.
Is the one you want?
Is this convincing anybody to buy a car, by the way? It's not convincing me to buy a car.
You got it?
Got it.
Sorry.
It's okay.
2 times these ads are definitely copyrighted. Let me see how this stream is looking. All right, we're not getting any warnings, but I will speed it up.
You actually said I will turn this car around and right now.
I was going to.
All right, yep, Benny, we get it. You very much love family.
You look like an old friend of mine.
Dude, the whole ad? Bro, he literally put the whole ad on there. That is so lazy, dude. You're joking right now.
Moving internationally to a German technology company, and the reason that Grandpa needs to do a little weightlifting, just not a single word of English spoken here, but you get the message.
If you take Chevy, Ford, Dodge, put all their cars, vans together, the Toyota Camry sells them all.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
It's a universal message.
What? You can tell he was just on fucking, like, Twitter one day and just picked this up. How is this like all about family values? Huh? Oh, he was training to put them on the tree. Oh my god, soy out moment. Oh my gosh. But how is this traditional at all? De misty sauce und das Kornkornen war först living in Rickerflex ankommt.
From Germany to France, France has a perfect message for fathers and the bond that gets passed from generation to generation. Here we go.
Okay. Yep, great. Alright, this is a big stinker from Benny, I'm not gonna lie. What was that ad for? No idea. Interesting, creative, and impactful ads. Bourgeoisie Christmas 2018. Wait, this was 2018, Benny.
And then from France to...
Benny, are you a fucking idiot? Oh my god. That was from 2018. You're a fucking dumbass, bro. Oh my god, no. You are so stupid. Oh my goodness. All right. Yeah, 2018 was peak woke hour.
To Argentina with a Coca-Cola commercial. Well, them they're out. David
great.
in Fatherhood and Parenthood.
Oh yeah, this new movie, this new stinker called David. Dude, this thing looks like a total wreck.
And Christmas time, but whatever.
Looks
there are
AI
generated here in this
to be
country. Angel
honest.
Studios is one of them. They're out with an all-time classic. David, this Christmas season, started breaking and smashing records. The #1 animated movie in the world right now. Go see David in theaters. It is a heartwarming family epic. I've taken my family. It's wonderful. It's, again, smashed records. The #1 animated movie.
It's smashed records, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely smashed record.
Beating Zootopia, beating Disney, beating SpongeBob, and this is how you support people who support your values, ladies and gentlemen. Go see David. Link in the description for Angel Studios. May God bless you in this blessed Christmas season. Remember, it is all about family and the bonds that we have through Christ.
All right. Thank you, Benny. Thank you so much. You are really trying your hardest. All right. We got a video from Michael Franzinzi. Now, I don't know how long we're going to watch Michael, but we'll watch it for a minute. We'll watch him for a minute. Republicans hate FDR. Excuse me. Hate FDR because he gave black people welfare, Section 8 housing, and food stamps, and cut the crime rate down by 90% in America. Well, very true. Very true. I think they just hate FDR because they're jealous of how girthy he was. You know what I'm saying? They're jealous. That man was not afraid of anybody.
Responsibility and an obligation for my followers who have been so loyal. Give me a chance. I don't get mad when people celebrate Hanukkah. I wish people happy Hanukkah. I don't get mad when people celebrate Ramadan. If I'm saying it, I don't get mad. We don't want to cancel that. We don't want to take it away. Why? Not hurting anybody. Nobody should be offended by that. We don't get offended when you celebrate Halloween. You know, why are we offended? We should be celebrating it. This holiday season was based upon the birth of Jesus Christ. That's it. It's a fact. Our forefathers.
My issue with Michael here is that he doesn't really bring the heat. You know what I mean? He's like just dips his toes in it. But I guess it'll be good to compare that to the absolute insanity of Nick, who's soying out right now. It'll be a good palette resetter, I guess. I don't know. Playback speed, let's put that to 2. He did actually say Ramadan right, though most Christians seem to think Ramadan is a holiday, which it is not. This guy is a mafia member. He kills people for a living and gets very rich off of it. Yeah, that is his claim.
said it. I read you their quotes. There's no denying it. We should never deny celebrating Christmas Day.
Yeah, Michael Franzini, former mafia boss of the Colombo crime family. Yeah, we memed on him pretty hard I think it was like a month ago, and I kind of felt bad for the poor dude, because he hasn't said anything too egregious so far that I've seen. He's just kind of towed the MAGA line, but let's see if he continues with it. He is a little racist too. Seriously, he used to make $3 million a week. Oh yeah, I believe him. I believe he used to be a mafia member. I'm not doubting it in any regard, but oh well. He wants to put a hit out on me? Go ahead.
Hey everyone, welcome to another Sit Down with Michael Franzese. Hope everybody is doing well. Everything is good, very blessed on this end, and as always, my friends, I give all the praise, honor, glory, and thanksgiving to our God for that, especially on this very special day, Christmas Day. You know, I wanted to take just a few moments with you today. I know everybody is busy doing their Christmas cheering and their Christmas celebrations, and hopefully you're all with family and friends and the people that mean the most to you. But I wanted to share a couple of my thoughts. I just think it's important. God put it in my heart to do that and to take a few moments with all of you. First, I want to thank all of my supporters over the years, all of my followers, all of my viewers, even if you're not a follower. I want to thank you for helping me build this channel. I never thought I really had no...
Okay, a little bit more humble. See, he is a little bit more humble than the, he claims to have just done gambling, running the numbers, and defense it even to this day. Come on, Michael. You can't just, come on. You just gotta admit that you were doing bad shit. I mean, he can admit he's doing bad shit, so just admit it. Come on.
What it was going to turn out to be when I started this back in 2020, the year of the pandemic. I was actually reluctant to get on YouTube, to get on social media.
Yeah, the video with his wife was actually very. It was like the opposite of Maggie. He's like, yeah, I like to cook on holidays and stuff, and I like to make sure my wife knows she's loved. And I was like, whoa, that's great. I like hearing about stuff like that. That's great.
Media at all. But my team.
That's kind of why I backed off of him. I was like, oh, well, he's not saying the absolute worst shit in the world that, you know, some other people are. Otherwise, he would break your legs. Well, Michael, don't break people's legs, man. What are you doing?
Told me, listen, you know, you're not doing anything through the pandemic, so let's go on social media. They finally convinced me, and the rest is what you've created for me out of this. And I'm always mindful of that and very thankful for all of you that have supported me throughout the years and continue to support me. So thank you for that. I also want to, you know, take some time to talk about the significance of this day. Now, I know there are people of other faiths out there that don't necessarily believe in the Christian faith, and I understand that. I don't knock anybody else's faith. It's not as...
Yeah, see, like, this is already, like, I don't knock anybody else's faith. Like, you would not hear that from your typical MAGA, you know what I mean? They'd be like, this is a Christian country founded on Christian morals. And if you don't believe that, you're fucking un-American.
As Christians, we're not supposed to do that. We do believe that Christianity is the one true faith, that the only way to get to heaven, and there is a heaven and a hell, the only way to get to heaven is through Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. We believe that with all our heart, and we're obligated to share that with you, not to impose our faith on you, not to try to force you into becoming a Christian, but to share what we believe to be the one true faith. But if you're a Muslim, if you're a Jew, if you're a Hindu, whatever other faith you are, I don't knock you at all, and I accept that, and I would love to have, you know, some constructive dialogue with you about what I believe and why I believe it. And so I just want to bring people back to understand that we are celebrating Christmas Day. And I know there have been people out there, you know, in government and everywhere else that are reluctant to say that this is Christmas, you know, Merry Christmas, that we have Christmas trees.
I haven't seen anybody reluctant to be like, it's Christmas. Like, I have not seen this outrage in the past, like, 5 years.
To say that, and I don't understand why. This holiday season was based upon the birth of Jesus Christ. That's it. It's a fact.
A mafia guy teaches me about Jesus Christ. Now I've seen everything, right?
Celebrate Christmas. You're celebrating the Christmas season because of the birth of Jesus. That's a fact. So people should not be offended when Merry Christmas comes out. You shouldn't be offended. You know, this is the only birthday of somebody where everybody else gets the gifts. Everybody else gets the.
You know, I actually find it the opposite. If I don't say Merry Christmas and I say Happy Holidays, people look at me weird. It's very strange.
This gift we have is Jesus giving the gift of salvation and forgiveness to all of us. Now, some of us are not mindful of that. Some of us don't understand that. Some of us may not necessarily believe that. But because you don't believe something, it doesn't mean that it's not true. And, you know, I want people to understand.
I'm still caught up on Benny recommending David for Christmas. Like, David is a very minor figure in Christianity. He's a pretty important figure in Judaism. Yeah, I know. Well, that movie looks like utter garbage. I'm tempted. I want to kind of do a watch party for it or something. I think that'd be fun. We can sit down and all watch David together.
States, this country, America, was born out of Christian biblical principles. There's no question about that. And I want to read something to you, and it's from my book, people, Blood Covenant. And I'm not trying to sell the book. This book has been out over 20 years. It sells itself at this point in time. But I've never really sat down and read anything from my book. But I want to give you some indication of how to celebrate.
Bro, what? I've never really sat down and read anything from my book, but anyways, let me read some.
Christmas Day and Christmas season. And it's basically because of what our founders here in America brought to this country. And again, the United States of America was founded on Christian principles.
Oh, here's the bullshit. Here's the bullshit, Cope. It was founded on Christian morals. No, it wasn't.
Don't forget, and I want to read some things for you that I think are very significant. And please, this is not meant to offend anyone that is not of the Christian faith. I just want to bring out what we know to be true. Consider what some of our great...
And then he just says some of the most racist... This isn't meant to offend anyone. N-word, 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 J-word, N-word, 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 K-word.
...leaders say about the Bible, and this is the Christian Bible. It is not possible to rightly govern the world without God and the Bible. You know who said that? George Washington, our first president. A Bible in every home is the principal support of virtue, morality, and civil liberty. Another great founder, Benjamin Franklin. Now,
oh, you do not want to hear about Benjamin Franklin. You do not want to know what Benjamin Franklin was up to when he was busy writing the Constitution. No, sir.
There's a book worth more than all other books which were ever printed.
Have you guys ever heard of the Hellfire Club? That one's an interesting one. You guys should look into.
I say to you, search the scriptures. The Bible is the book of all others, to be read at all ages and in all conditions of human life. Not to be read once, twice, or 3 times, and then laid aside, but to be read in small portions of 1 or 2 chapters every day, and never to be intermitted, unless by some overruling necessity. John Quincy Adams, another president. These are the founders of our country. When people say the United States was not founded
Here's
on
a couple
principles,
founders that believed in the Bible. Let me just cherry pick their quotes.
This country on.
Again, this is what I call the sun god fallacy, though. Nothing, just because our founders were Christian, doesn't A, mean they intended for our nation to be Christian, or B, have any bearing in our modern society, truly.
Is the rock on which our republic rests. Andrew Jackson, by the way, check me out on this. I don't put anything out there that I don't believe or know to be true, people. And again, I'm not trying to persuade anybody to do anything. That's up to you. Our gracious and loving God has given us a free will. We can choose any faith we want, or we don't have to choose a faith.
Oh, God, here we go. The free will fallacy.
So it's never we're trying to impose anything on you, but I'm trying to make you understand the truth. Because there are a lot of people out there today that are saying we can't celebrate Christmas because it's offensive to people. Well, it shouldn't be.
No one is saying that, dude. This is so fake outrage.
It's not offensive to me. Muslim holidays are not offensive to me. Because I don't practice them doesn't mean that they're offensive to me. And Christianity and biblical principles should not be offensive to anyone. Another, I am profitably engaged in reading the Bible. Take all of this book upon reason that you can and the balance by faith, and you will live and die a better man. I believe that the Bible is the best gift God has given to man. All the good from the Savior of the world is communicated to us through the Bible. You know who said that? Abraham Lincoln. Now,
but does it say anywhere in that quote that he thinks it should be hoisted upon people? No, not at all.
I'm reading to you. How could you say that the Bible is not the founding principle that this country was built upon? These are our founding fathers saying this. I'm not making it up. Let's continue. The best religion the world has ever known is the...
Yeah, and our founding fathers also said some racist shit. Like, who cares?
Religion of the Bible.
Sun God
builds up all that
fallacy,
is good. Rutherford B. Hayes, another president.
A lot of this argument really is like, that's why I was thinking, I've really thought about like, what's an easy way to just show people that when you just try to reference people in history rather than just focusing on your current situation, it has less and less bearing the further you go back. I think the sun god fallacy is perfect, dude. It perfectly fits that
this wonderful book, and the more closely
narrative
we observe its divine precepts, the better citizens we will become, and the higher will be our destiny as a nation. William McKinley, another president. I plead for a closer and wider and deeper study of the Bible, so that our people may be in fact, as well as theory, doers of the word and not hearers only. Theodore Roosevelt. The whole inspiration of our civilization.
And this is also back before we had the information age. The information age, like back in those days also, the Bible was like one of the only fucking pieces of literature around. So like, you know, you get your choice between the Bible and a list of hymns. You're probably going to be like, oh, well, the Bible is pretty good.
Springs from the teaching of Jesus Christ and the lessons of the prophets. To read the Bible for those fundamentals is a necessity of American life. Herbert Hoover, another president.
Oh, Herbert Hoover. Yeah, we all love Herbert Hoover, ladies and gentlemen. Famous Herbert Hoover, who just did the greatest things in our nation's history.
The Bible can touch hearts, order minds, and refresh souls. Ronald Reagan. The world doesn't need another wine.
It really needs a reason to raise a glass.
Oh, dude, it's his fucking wine. It's his fucking wine, dude. This wine is fucking made from real fruits, ladies and gentlemen. It's made from real, actual fruits. You're not going to believe it. Most wines aren't made from real fruits, but this shit, real fucking fruits.
Because most people, they drink to forget. We drink to remember where we came from, what we stand for, and who we still fight to become.
Fruits.
We don't follow trends. We break them. Our bottles don't look like anyone else's.
We use fruits. We use fruits in our wine, ladies and gentlemen.
A story, it isn't like anyone else's. It's about freedom, about redemption, about family.
And about fruits.
That's what's inside every bottle. So, to the ones who think different, who live different.
To the fruit eaters of the world, to the fruit drinkers.
Drink different. Some.
Drink different. Michael Franzinzi. Look, it's a fruit. His wine's got fruit, ladies and gentlemen. You've never seen wine with fruit in it.
People, the teachings of Jesus Christ are without a doubt the most profound and the wisest teachings ever given to anyone in all of civilization and all of humanity. You know, I am right now working on a book, and it's called A Man.
Yeah, I don't think you can use that copyright footage either in your own ad.
The earth, and his name was Jesus, Jesus of Nazareth. You know, when I came to Christ, I didn't come easily. I didn't all of a sudden say, you know what, Lord, you're going to get me out of all my mess. I'm going to pray to you. I'm going to believe in you. My wife was a Christian. My mother-in-law was a devout Christian. I respected their beliefs, but I wasn't buying it.
It was right about the time when the judge was about to convict me. That's when I really started believing.
To them right away. I was a mob guy. That was my mentality. When I got locked up the second time and I was thrown in the hole, I was kind of desperate because the feds were upset with me. They told me you'll never see the street again. I figured I was going to lose my wife, lose my kids, die in jail. That's what I thought. They gave me all these threats.
Dude, I told you. I was literally on the money. He was just about to be sentenced. He was like, Lord, please. I'm sending this one out. I'm sending it out. Please. Fucking 16 black. Let's go.
And at the worst night of my life, and some of you have heard this, many of you, because I've been preaching this for over 30 years now, both in person, online, writing books, and every way I can, because that's my responsibility to share the word of Jesus Christ, the word of salvation, the word of forgiveness, the word of mercy and grace. That's my responsibility to share it, not to impose it upon you, but to share it. And I feel strongly enough about this that starting in January, I'm going to have a sister platform to my YouTube channel that's going to be strictly ministry, because I feel I'm not doing enough online with all my people that follow me and with all the people that turn on every...
Oh, great. Franzinzi Ministries. Oh, geez. I can't wait for that garbage fire.
Single day, all my new viewers. I have an obligation and a responsibility. I don't want anything for it. All I want is to spread the word of the gospel of Jesus Christ. But when I sat in the hole that night in that...
I don't want to make any money, but in this video about Christianity and Christmas, I'm gonna place a few ads. Just a couple, though.
The Bible. I threw it against the wall. I was so upset that night. I thought I lost everything. But then I picked the Bible up because I did believe in God. I looked around and I said, all of this could not have come from nothing. There must be a creator. I don't understand how God always was, always will be, always remains the same.
It came from fucking... Let's see, it was the 60s. It came from Gepeghi. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like some Italian name. Giulieppo. He built those streets, and Irish immigrants as well. He's looking in a cell right now. So I'm trying to think of what the construction worker makeup of that time would have been. Yeah, it wasn't made by God, brother. God did not make these buildings. That was all us.
I can't understand that. It's beyond my human comprehension. It's beyond all of our human comprehensions. Maybe those of us that get to heaven, God will explain it to us. Maybe he won't. He's God.
He's looking at these bars. How can I get out of them? Who made these? They're so hard to slip through. It's beyond my comprehension. Who made these?
What he wants in that regard. But I knew there had to be a creator, so I believed in God. And I picked up the book, and I started my journey that night without getting into the whole testimony. I'm not sharing that. But as I started to read, and I started to get sources that would support what I was reading in the Bible, the trueness of it. You know, is the Christian faith for real? What evidence do we have to support that the Bible is truly the Word of God? What evidence do we have to support that the apostles, the people that wrote the book, the disciples that wrote the epistles, that wrote the Gospels, what evidence do I have that I can rely on what they said?
He's
what evidence do I have that Jesus really lived?
He's actually chilling on the same island that Tupac is, believe it or not. Ooh, has somebody made Tupac and Charlie smoking a blizzy together? That would be funny.
That Jesus really died, that Jesus really rose again. So for 299 months and 7 days, I did my work. I searched. My wife sent me in books supporting what I was reading. I had books sent in on every faith. And again, I'm not knocking other faiths, but the only one that rang true to me was Christianity and Jesus. And then when I started to study Jesus of Nazareth, I started to look at his teachings as it related in the Gospels and the way those people that were around him wrote about him. I started to really focus on that. I separated the fact that he might be the Son of God. I didn't want to read that for a moment. I wanted to know what kind of man he was, because I was always brought up to be, my father used to tell me, you got to be a man's man. You got to have integrity. You got to walk down the street, hold your head high. You got to be honest. You got to be loyal. He used to teach me that. You got to be a man's man. I heard that a million times. I heard it in the life a million times. So I wanted to see what kind of guy Jesus was and what he taught. My friends, look, there was nobody like Jesus of Nazareth that ever walked the face of the earth. He was perfect. His teachings were perfect in every way, shape, or form.
Perfect.
You can't knock anything that he said. Nothing. And remember this, what I love about Jesus, there's no compromise with him. What do I mean by that? Oh, he was a good person, he was a prophet, but he wasn't the Son of God. No, you can't say that. Jesus doesn't allow you to say that. Jesus puts a mark in the sand, draws a line in the sand, and he says,
you can't say that. You got to say I'm the special boy.
straight out. You either for me or against me. You either believe I'm the Son of God or you don't. I'm not just a nice person. I'm not just a prophet.
Charlie
you either believe
Kirk
in
is
Jesus or you don't. You
smoking
believe that he's the Son of God or you
Tupac's
don't. Why?
Well,
Because he said he
maybe.
was the Son of God.
I don't know.
He said
I
no
feel
one
like
gets to
they're
the Father
just
unless he
chilling
comes through
together.
me. So if he was misleading us, he was evil. That makes him a bad person.
They're in
Doesn't make him a
Hyperborea right now, actually.
prophet. It makes him a bad guy because he said straight out, nobody gets to the Father unless it's through me. He made himself out to be the Son of God. He declared that. He owned it. He took it. So there's no compromise with him. You can't say, oh, he was just a good person or a prophet. No, that's false teaching. He's either the Son of God or he's a demon. When you read the Bible, you cannot see Jesus as being anything but a good man, a holy man, a wise man, a loving man, a just man. You
Why
can't see
did
him
he
any other
kick
way.
a tree? That's
Now, people
true.
can try to delude you and try to put other thoughts in your mind for whatever reason they have. Maybe they're led by the devil, the demon, whatever. But you cannot, honestly, read about Jesus and learn about him and think,
I am led by the devil, folks. Bad news. Bad news.
of him as being anyone but a good, moral, just, loving, fair person. So I came away with these thoughts. I believed everything because I believe the eyewitnesses. I believe the people that went to their death refusing to give up Jesus, refusing to deny that he was the Son of God, gave it up willingly. You don't do that for something you don't believe in. These men were around Jesus. They saw him perform miracles. They heard him talk.
They were around Jesus in more ways than one. You know, my favorite reading of the, Bible is when, is the one that it's like they're all just gay and they were blowing each other. That one's funny.
And they went back to prophecy in the Old Testament. You know how many times Jesus was prophesied that he would be born, that he would die and raise again? This is in the book. This is what America was founded upon, biblical principles. So I came away saying, listen, if I follow this man, Jesus, I'm going to be a better person. No question, I'm going to be a better father, a better husband, a better person in my community. I'm going to screw up at times because I'm not Jesus, but if I'm going to try to emulate him, I'll be much better. And when I die, if he's not the Savior of the world, what did I have to lose? I'm dead anyway. But throughout my life, I strove to be a better man, a better person. But Jesus is the Son of
Dude,
God.
listen to that. What do I got to lose? I'm dead anyways. Very, the common fucking Christian mindset. Oh, what do I got to lose? I just got to dedicate most of my life to this guy. What do I have to lose? I just have to show up to his services, once every week when I could be doing something else. What do I got to lose? Hold on.
With all my heart, people, I would not mislead you. Do you realize if I was misleading you in any way, that I have to believe that I stand in front of Jesus one day, and he's going to look at me and say, who are you kidding? I never knew you. You did this for yourself. You didn't do it for me. You wanted the accolades, Michael. You wanted the praise. You wanted the glory. You weren't directing people.
No, I don't think people are accusing you of that, but it's kind of funny that you think we are.
To me, I never knew you. 4 words I don't ever want to hear. So listen, as I sit here this morning, I feel a responsibility and an obligation for my followers who have been so loyal. Give me a chance. When I launch this sister platform, just give me a chance. Listen to me. Listen to what I have to say.
Oh my God,
because
this
it's
is
gonna be
all
biblically-
about
it's gonna
his
be a
launch
biblical,
of a
foundation
sister
that I'm gonna talk about,
platform.
because
How
this country,
embarrassing.
America, was formed on biblical foundation. Our forefathers said it. I read you their quotes. There's no denying it. We should never deny celebrating Christmas Day. We should
You
never
just read a
deny
couple of
celebrating
quotes,
Christmas
bro.
Eve. And to take it a step further, we should never deny celebrating Easter Sunday, Resurrection Sunday. We shouldn't. These are Christian holidays, and our country was built on biblical Christian principles. No denying that, and that should not be offensive to anyone. I don't get mad when people celebrate Hanukkah. I wish people happy Hanukkah. I don't get mad when people celebrate Ramadan. I say Ramadan if I'm saying it. I don't get mad. I congratulate
I
people.
don't get mad when people celebrate. Well, I would be interested to see what this guy has said about certain things. You know what I mean? I don't know if that really holds true, to be quite honest. I'd be interested to see.
And if I can celebrate, along with you, and great. Doesn't mean that I have to aspire to your faith. And yes, I would wish that you would listen to me, because I don't want to see anybody go to hell. I get angry with people. There's people I don't like. When I think of how horrible hell is, and how people can do wrong things for reasons that maybe I don't understand, I don't know that I want them to go to hell. I don't, because that's eternal.
See, that's like the ultimate bullshit about Christianity, though. It's like you supposedly care about these people, but in the end, you're okay with them going to fucking hell. So,
does anybody on earth deserve eternal damnation? I don't know. I don't have it in my heart to say that. And there's people that I don't like, that I believe deserve to be held accountable for their actions. But accountability on earth is one thing. Accountability in hell for all of eternity is totally another thing. I don't want to see anybody do that. Nobody, even bad people here. I don't want to see anybody do that. As a Christian, I can't make that eternal condemnation. And I see people say you should rot in hell and all that. No, I can't. And I understand that. Your emotions get high. God forbid, somebody inflicts such damage on you or somebody that you love. I understand those emotions. Don't get me wrong. But as a Christian, I have to catch myself. Some of the greatest words ever said were by Jesus when he was hanging on the cross. He was innocent. He was condemned. He was envied. He was put to death because of envy and jealousy. he looked up at heaven, and he looked down at the people that persecuted him in the most horrible way that ever existed on the earth.
Oh,
And he
geez.
looked up at
We've
heaven and he
all
said, "Father,
heard
forgive them,
this
for they know not
spiel
what they do."
before, guys.
And you know what? That can apply to a lot of people here on earth.
We all
Even the most
have.
heinous crimes, and they are disgusting and horrible, and we have an emotion of hate. But the way Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for
God
they know not what
loved
they do."
you,
Those people
even if
committing
you
those heinous crimes, they may
fucking
know what they're doing at the moment, but they don't
raped a
understand
baby.
the magnitude of what they're bringing upon themselves. I don't think they get it because they're not believers. They don't
God
understand
will
there is a
love
heaven
you,
and there is a hell.
even
They don't
if
get it.
you...
And as Christians, our
Never mind.
responsibility is to dissuade people from going to hell. Jesus' last command before he rose on Easter Sunday, his last command, go out and preach, teach the good word to all of creation. And the good word is the gospel of Jesus Christ. Go out and teach it to all of creation. We're obligated to do that because Jesus did not want anyone to go to hell. No. Why? He said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." And you know what I'm wondering? Did those people, because of those words, that was Jesus' last prayer, did those people that condemned him and persecuted him, did they come to Christ? Because that's a powerful prayer from Jesus himself. "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." And that's the kind of attitude we as Christians have to have. So I want to wrap this up. I don't know how many people are able to break away and watch it today, tomorrow, whatever. But again, don't ever,
Yeah, I'm gonna
don't
be
ever be
honest.
offended by Christmas Day.
I
ever
don't
be
know
offended
how
by
many
a
people
Christmas
are
tree.
watching Friends.
Our leaders
Easy.
like Gavin Newsom. All he's concerned about, and I don't want to get political.
Oh,
but it's really
geez,
disgusting.
here we
You're worried
go.
about turning off your base because you say Merry Christmas because you can't come up with a follow-up message to
Freaking
say,
Gavin
listen,
Newsom. I
Jesus
hate
was
Gavin
born on this
Newsom.
day for everybody. The present he gave everybody today was his birth. So everybody go out and celebrate that, whether you believe it or not. This is Christmas Day, and we do celebrate this season because of the birth of Christ. We don't want to cancel that. We don't want to take it away. Why? Not hurting anybody. Nobody should be offended by that. We don't
We're
get
not
offended when we
hurting
celebrate
anybody by saying
Halloween,
your religion is
you know,
invalid.
why are we offended? We should be celebrating.
Did he? Yeah, I know. Gavin Newsom lives in these people's minds rent free.
It. He was a good man. He was a good person. Even if you don't believe he's the savior of the world, today is a celebration for the entire world. And we should look at it that way and enjoy it. And don't ever lose sight of what this Christmas Day means. It is the birth of Jesus Christ, plain and simple. That's why we celebrate this season. And for the Jewish people out there that celebrate Hanukkah, congratulations. Celebrate it. This is what you believe. Celebrate it. But give a thought to Jesus. And just know,
Sounds like he's angry.
this country,
Oh,
the greatest country on the face of the
congratulations.
earth, many people believe that. I love
Stupid
America.
Hanukkah.
I don't like what's going on here, but I love the way this country was founded. I love what it was founded upon. And if we can bring that back, it'll be a much better place. If we can bring the teachings of Jesus Christ into our homes, into our government, into our education system, into corporate America, it'll be a much better place. Read what Jesus taught. You can't deny that.
Will it?
Read what he taught. And I guarantee you'll come to the same conclusion. Whether you believe it or not, what he taught was right and just and moral and good and fair. Christmas Day. That's what we're celebrating, people. So I want to leave you with a toast.
Lame message. He should be pointing out the winter solstice is also infliction point where life started to return, which is symbolic of Christ's sacrifice on the cross. Lots of cultures celebrate seasons of similar
I'm not
reasons.
here to push my line today. A lot of people, I have to thank everybody.
These
Over the last 2
people
months,
aren't
we've had such a
exactly
surge
the
in sales.
most,
Our food lines, people are just loving them. It's so gratifying to see that. When you put your name on a product, you want to make sure people
honest.
enjoy it, they like it. And it's been so
Isn't that the
satisfying.
right
We've had our
word,
best quarter.
articulate?
Only third year in business, but our best quarter because people are enjoying the wine. And we make it available at a price that people can afford.
Oh my God. And now he's talking about his wine. You know, my wine is the best in the world. You guys should really buy my wine. Have you guys heard about my wine? It's really good. It's really good.
And that's important to me, people. I'm a guy for everybody. I'm not an elitist guy. People say to me, Michael, why don't you wear a watch? What for? I don't need a watch. I got my phone. I can see what time it is. I might buy a watch for Christmas. My wife
People
says,
say, Michael, why don't you wear a watch? Why would I
people have these
wear a
beautiful
watch?
watches.
I
I'm not
hate
knocking that. Hey, that's
watches.
great. I love them. I admire them. But it was never important to me, people. I don't know. Never that important. But I want to thank everybody for just enjoying the wine. Pretty soon, I'm going to have some pizza out there that people are going to enjoy very much also. And I'm very excited. When I put my name on something, I want it to be the best possible item, product that it can be. We have a clothing
Bro,
line.
he is just
people enjoy
fitting
it,
all
I hope they
the
do really well, too.
Italian
A lot of people have,
stereotypes.
indulged in it, engaged in our products, and they're enjoying it. So why am I saying this? It's the end of the year, and it's really just a thank you for all of you for supporting not only me, but the products that I put out there with my name on it. It's very special and very encouraging, and I appreciate it very much. So let me end with this, just a little prayer, and I don't have to get too deep on this, but I really mean this to all of you who have supported.
Okay, he's just going to say a prayer. All right, that was famous mafia boss Michael Franzese who broke people's legs because he owed them, or they owed him money. What a sweet guy. I gotta take my pills here in a moment, so I'm gonna do that real quick. But when I get back, we've got Nick. Let me put on some PBS NewsHour real quick while I go get my pills. Would he do an ad read mid-prayer? That's actually a great question. Thank you for asking that, Phineas. Let me see. Oh, Phineas, good to see you, man. It's been a while. Okay, I actually
very
am
merry
curious.
season platform with birth of Jesus. I have people out there, those people, because you're not supportive, enjoy it, soak it up, enjoy the presents, enjoy giving them, enjoy and we had a great meal. I have to say, we had a great meal. People always have a great meal. Today we're gonna have another great meal. So God bless each and every one of you. Salute, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Take care.
Yeah, he's not okay. I will say he's not nearly as egregious as some of the other MAGA influencers. If this was what MAGA was, if this is what it was, I think we'd be okay. You know, he doesn't seem like he hates all other ethnicities with a passion. You know what I mean? He just seems like your typical, like, rightoid who's got a little into the culture war, but kind of checked out, and now he's just kind of just doing the MAGA grift. I don't know. I like Thomas Massey. I think Thomas Massey needs to be the slate for the next Republican Party. I would never vote for him, but I think it'd be way easier to go across the line, because he's not saying he fucking hates us and wants us to die. You know what I mean? All right. Let me get PBS NewsHour going, and I will be right back. Oh, never mind. This is the most recent NewsHour. Let me go to the let me go to the actual PBS NewsHour real quick. Is it there live? No, it's this one. Okay. All right. Now I will be a little fast. I don't think. Wait, where's Amna Nawaz and Jeff Bennett? I don't like this. I'm a little afraid right now. William Brangham? Oh, you better bring the ham, brother, because you're competing with giants.
I'm William Brangham.
Probably got to go. Bye-bye. Good seeing you, Bill. Good seeing you.
Amna Nawaz and Jeff Bennett are away. On the NewsHour tonight, Ukraine proposes demilitarized zones in parts of the Russian-occupied East, the latest plan for ending the nearly 4-year invasion. Judy Woodruff reports from a small New Hampshire town on how the answer to political divisions may begin within our own communities.
When we don't have that sense of belonging, our nervous system is literally on fire. We are vulnerable to extreme views and to extreme behaviors because we feel so unsafe.
And during the Christmas season, Palestinian Christians make the journey to and from Bethlehem.
It's pillow clock. Get your pills out if you have to take pills on a daily routine. Oh, what's up, Chase? Good to see you. One moment, I gotta connect my other headphone. It's got this really annoying thing where it goes, please charge. And it's like, yes, I know I need to charge it. I'm not unaware of that fact. All right, one moment. But how's everybody doing today? Hopefully you're doing well. Chase walked right in as IP is brought up. Yeah, very suspicious, Chase. Very suspicious. What's going on there, man? Like a shark smelling blood. No, that's him with Vosh. Let's be fair here, folks. That's him with Vosh. Vosh. Dude, Charlie Kirk debated Vosh. Think about that. Why did he get the great honor but not me? Charlie Kirk loved me too. I wish I would have had the chance to actually talk to the great man. Oh my God, that is so stupid. Okay. One moment, guys. Gotta add my Bluetooth device. It connected, but because I made it forget. Anyways. All right, here we go. All right. I still have to take my pills though, so.
Navigating Israeli checkpoints along the way.
Please steal news wrap. There
In
we
the
go.
day's other headlines, the Department of Justice says it has discovered over 1 million more documents that
Oh
are
yeah, we'll
possibly
be going over this tomorrow, by the way.
related to the late
We're
convicted
going
sex
over
offender
all
Jeffrey
that
Epstein.
shit tomorrow.
In a social media post,
It'll be a good,
DOJ
like,
did not
post-Christmas
elaborate
thing.
on when, where, or how the documents were found, but they said the new trove will take a few more weeks to process and release to the public. That will further delay compliance with the deadline set by Congress to release all the Epstein files by last Friday. A dozen U.S. senators have urged the Justice Department's Inspector General to investigate this ongoing delay. Returning to the war between Russia and Ukraine, an explosion inside Moscow today killed 3 people, including 2 police officers. It's the second deadly explosion in the same area of the Russian capital in just the last 3 days. Russian investigators say 2 traffic officers approached an individual when a device detonated, killing them and a bystander. Russia blames Ukraine for the attack. Kyiv has not publicly commented or claimed responsibility. The blast occurred very close to where a car bomb killed a high-ranking Russian general just 2 days earlier. The election authority of Honduras has declared Nasri Asfura the winner of its recent embattled presidential race. President Trump endorsed Asfura days before the November 30th election. In the 3 weeks since, the contentious vote count has suffered technical problems and allegations of fraud. Secretary of State Marco Rubio urged all parties to accept the outcome, although Asfura's opponent has not yet conceded. Honduras's election marks the latest in a right-wing resurgence in Latin America. Just last week, Chile chose far-right politician Jose Antonio Cast as its next president.
I would not
Back
be
here at
surprised to see if there are
home,
any CIA operatives active right now influencing those political campaigns.
Investigators are searching for what caused a massive explosion at a Philadelphia airport.
That's just kind of what we do. It's not like, you know, there's always countries everywhere have like agents like that. Not necessarily like spies in the traditional sense, but
A nursing home. At least 2 people were killed.
are
and 20
interested in
injured.
America's interests.
The blast on Tuesday occurred shortly after a utility crew had responded to reports of a gas leak. The explosion collapsed parts of the building and shook houses blocks away. 1 resident died, as well as a facility employee. One of the
rest in
injured is in
peace.
critical condition. After
I
an
hope they make
hours-long
it
search
through.
and rescue, officials said everyone was accounted for and praised first responders for their bravery.
I've never
This
seen.
is why we need infrastructure
such-
reform, folks. It makes much more. It takes many more forms than just roads.
Heroism. They were running into a building that I could, from 50 feet away, can still smell gas. Some people couldn't talk. This could have been a much more serious catastrophe.
State records show that inspectors cited the facility for multiple violations back in October, including for a lack of barriers to contain smoke across different floors.
Yep.
On the west.
See, folks? Like, infrastructure reform also takes a form in these people, like, if they're breaking the law, being held accountable and not letting, you know, people live there if that's the
West Coast.
case.
A powerful storm is slamming California on the eve of what could be the wettest Christmas in years for southern parts of that state. The atmospheric river, seen from space earlier this week, will continue dumping
what
heavy
happens when
rain
I
all
come
the way
onto the
through
scene,
Friday.
folks.
It's led to scenes like this today in southern San Bernardino County and northern Mono counties. Roads flooded by
Next time
dangerous
I'm in California during the Christmas time, I think I'm going to break that record. Hey.
rushing mud. Coastal areas, including in Los Angeles, are under flash flood warnings. Meantime, the same storm is bringing snow to California's mountains. Officials warn of hazardous holiday driving conditions. And stocks set records on this shortened day of trading before Christmas. The Dow Jones Industrial Average added nearly 300 points and notched a new record high. The Nasdaq made a 50-point gain, and the S&P 500 also ended on a record-setting high note, getting closer to 7,000 points. Still to come on the NewsHour, author David Baldacci.
Now's a good time to invest, ladies and gentlemen. That's something else I like to preach. I need help investing, but now's a really good time. So put your money in the Dow, not in the Dow, but put your money in the S&P. Open up all sorts of fun little brokerage accounts. It's time. It's time to invest.
Baldacci and his wife work to combat toxic political discourse. We explore why Christmas carols endure despite major changes in popular music. And the Armed Forces musicians bring us some holiday cheer in a NewsHour tradition.
Okay, I don't think any of us give a fuck about that. So, let's find out why Christmas is not a stolen pagan holiday with some cope from Nick. I don't know if we'll get through this video. This may be a challenge for me because he is incredibly dumb and he does have a psychologically draining aura and he's just becoming irrelevant because he's about to leave his seat. So this may be the last appearance of Nick before he leaves office, and at that point we just don't care about him. So,
gentlemen, you are in for a treat. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a treat. In fact, I know you're in it because in the process of doing this interview, I got so enraptured with the conversation, I forgot to tell you early on that you are going to want to stick around because I'm going to be talking about a couple of conferences that are coming up where you're going to get to see
a couple of gold. I was actually going to talk up to you about gold, but then I remembered I'm actually in an interview.
Guests for today in person. We got the Great Homeschool Convention showing up in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is going to be taking place in April 2026. In July of,
up,
you want to get them.
Nobody wants to see you live
again. Now, I'm in Mary. Let's get to the episode.
Oh my God, that is so cringy. Oh my God, where did you get that from? Fucking Microsoft Office? Bro, what is that?
Now, let's get to the episode.
Bro, that's worse than my MS Paint drawings.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. There's a ghost in my house. My bag just fell off of the bed.
That's right. And what makes it so merry? Because after all, I've been told to include by people that I love listening to, historians like Mike Duncan, that, you know, you Christians talk about Christmas, but really you've just ripped it off from the pagans, right? This is just Saturnalia, or like pretty much every other Christian holiday. You guys just did a good job of co-opting that which already was and just using it for yourself. Essentially, you've colonized all of the good holidays. Well, that's always bothered me. And so I've done some of my own reading on it.
Of course it has.
But
I've done my own reading on it. You know, I'm not going to mention any of the
I decided
authors,
that today, for this Christmas, is a special gift to all of our listeners. I would bring on somebody that I feel very confident can help us address this whole issue, not only of whether or not Christmas is simply just a Christian.
I gotta speed him up. He is so unfathomably boring.
Co-opted pagan holidays, but can we actually trust the nativity story? So with me today is none other than Wes Huff. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here. Love Christmas. One of my favorite times of the year, especially here in Canada, because we actually have a snowy Christmas. So appreciate that.
Who is this? Wes Huff sucks. I was about to say, who is this expired twink?
Fall is not long enough, but we have the seasons here in Toronto, so I gotta be appreciative.
Is that mean to say? Is that mean to call him an expired twink?
What I can get.
No, that's great. I too, I'm a huge Christmas fan. And my kids will tell you that, you know, most holidays and whatnot, like I enjoy them. They're great. Christmas is the one holiday where Dad goes a bit nuts and and just really enjoys it.
Oh my God, who hired this editor?
Most holidays and whatnot, like I enjoy them. They're great. Christmas is the one holiday where Dad goes a bit nuts. And
bro, that is so bad. Who fucking hired this editor? That is so bad.
And just really enjoys it. And it's not because of the pageantry, it's because of what it represents. It represents the birth of our Savior in Jesus Christ. Or so I was told. But I remember listening to a podcast.
Dude, you need to cut this new editor off. He is not good.
Podcast called The History of Rome. And I really appreciated the history of it and whatnot. But that's where I started really hearing this argument. And I'd heard it before, but it started to become more of it seemed like there was more to it when he was saying that really this is just Saturnalia. This is just, you know, the Romans adopted Christianity, and with it you have the co-opting of various Roman holidays. And then of course there's other arguments out there as well that there are various Christmas traditions from our trees, everything else. We're just stealing it all from the pagans. And so the first thing I wanted to ask is, Wes, save Christmas for us Christians. Is that true? Were we just good at co-opting it, or is there a little bit more to the story?
No.
Well, no, it's not true. And
no, it's not true at all.
What's interesting is I grew up on this kind of idea too. And when I was younger, I actually didn't have a problem with it, if it was true, which it wasn't, in terms of taking these types of things, whether it's December 25th or Santa or you name it, Christmas trees, and then if you want to call it baptizing them for Jesus, we take something. There is truth to the fact that throughout church history, we have Christians who would.
Dude, that's so true. Christians back in the day would spend centuries making grand cathedrals. Now they can't even make a title card. They have to AI it.
Take abandoned pagan temples in particular areas that people recognize as having some sort of religious significance, and then they would turn those, either the remains of the temples, into churches, or they would just level that particular building and build a church on top. We do have, in terms of like the repurposing of the pagan in that regard. But when I actually started investigating history, looking into these things in my formal education as a historian, I found that almost none of these things were true that I was told were just repurposed pagan holidays or pagan traditions, dates, times, celebrations. And in fact, sometimes the opposite is true. Sometimes the kind of parallels that we see are actually post-dating Christianity and are the reverse, are the pagans trying to get people involved and doing things like changing Yule to December 25th.
Wow. So, okay, so let's start off with that. The whole idea of December 25th, because the kind of the common knowledge, if you Google it.
Dude, it's almost like religion has a very long and storied history, and traditions are very opaque on where they originally come from. It's almost like that's just always the case. Huh.
Weird. And whatnot. It's like, Jesus wasn't born in September. Some scholars say that they think he was born in, April or whatnot. But they'll come up with different arguments for why December 25th has, no real historical legitimacy with respect to the actual birth of Christ, to the best that we can know when it took place. But it does seem to coincide with certain pagan holidays during the Roman Empire. So, what's the response to that claim?
Yeah, so often asserted, right, the date of December 25th was already a common one used in the ancient Near East and Greco-Roman world, and that the Christians merely scheduled their celebrations of Jesus' birth on the same day as these pagan festivals were, to somehow make it easier for pagans or early converts to actually either convert or get used to celebrating Christmas. So apart from the fact that, like I said before, I wouldn't necessarily have that big of an issue with this concept. When you look into the sources, what you find is that the leading contenders for this argument, say something like the Roman festival of Sol Invictus, well, that festival, we only find the sources for that being on December 25th in the 4th century. And so the connection is actually, arguably 400 years after the inception of Christianity. And December 25th, the early inscriptions for Sol Invictus give us dates of August, October, and early December. So it's a kind of a roving holiday. It doesn't have like a set date. And Christians had already pinpointed December 25th as the date that they thought Jesus was born by the 2nd century. So there's this individual named Sextus Julius Africanus in the late 2nd and early 3rd century, and he had already made the conclusion by looking at some of the things within the Gospels.
I didn't realize I was muted. Hawkins, Hank Swan said, "Insane shit, shut up." No, I'm not gonna.
And kind of doing his own math, that was the date. In reality, Roman temple worship was on the decline by the 4th century, and it's just as plausible, and in fact more probable, that the pagans moved their celebration to December 25th to actually compete with the Christians, who were a growing religious minority, who were becoming more and more popular. In fact, we have this guy Pliny the Younger in the early 2nd century, who had already noted, potentially a little hyperbolically, that the Roman temples were being forsaken due to so many Christian converts. And then we have the Emperor Julian, who was emperor.
This is just, like I said, these guys are just some
for
of the
3 years
most
in the 4th century, and he
boring
writes
people
in, he says that he's frustrated with the lack of pagan religious devotion to idols in his time, and he blames the Christians for this kind of pagan faith crisis.
Is it Julian the Apostate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. So he already has like a vendetta against things, right? But he sees this, right? And he's like, no, I want people to be going and worshiping at the pagan temples. And they're not. They're actually abandoning the pagan temples for Christian practice and worship. And that's what we see. We see a move of a festival that actually had kind of a floating date in terms of when it was actually practiced, then kind of being repurposed, which is often what December 25th in the Christian context is accused of, but it's repurposed in the other way around. In fact, the Origins of the Liturgical Calendar, which is a book by a historian named Thomas Taylor, he says the exact same thing when he writes that it's more likely that the Emperor Aurelian placed Sol Invictus on December 25th to compete with the growing rate of Christianity. So it's not just the lay people out here looking at the data from, say, the internet. Historians write about this stuff, and they say no. When you actually evaluate the evidence shows that Christians, as early as the 2nd century, going into the 3rd century, had already, whether that's correct or not, calculated this as the date of Jesus' birth. They want to celebrate the incarnation in a way that's honoring, that's biblical, and so that's what they start doing very early on.
So, okay, and when I think it's important too, because sometimes we say 2nd century, this century, when people get confused with date, but we're basically talking about the earliest attestation that we have for Christians identifying December 25th as the day where they believe that Jesus was born. And again, not necessarily saying at this point that is accurate, but you had a Christian that was faithfully trying to read the Gospels, study calendars and whatnot, coming up with that day. Christians adopting it as a day for a celebration. You have that going on in the 2nd century, so 200 years. And then 200 years later, that's the earliest attestation that we have for this idea that December 25th was one of the days
Yes.
that was being used for this Roman holiday.
Yeah. So you have that individual Julius Sextus Africanus, Sextus Julius Africanus, get the order of his name right, and he writes a document called Chronographoi, and it's not just Christmas that's in mind here. He's trying to basically chronologically cover world history from creation up until his day. So that he looks at a lot of biblical numbers and dates and does this, and Christmas is one of those dates. You also have Hippolytus of Rome in the late 2nd, early 3rd century. He wrote a commentary on the book of Daniel in the early 3rd century, and in it states that Jesus was born 8 days before the calends of January, which would have been December 24th or 25th. So you have a number of individuals. 2nd century Tertullian, once again, he's around 160 to 240 AD. He says that there's an idea that Christians are setting apart this particular day for the day that
We'll have
Jesus.
call-ins here soon, probably in about 10 minutes if anybody wants to call in and talk for a little bit. I'll be on Kalinda's Discord.
Was born, and he looks at there's this idea that really holy people would die on their birthday. So they did this for, say, the hypothetical death and birth of Moses. And part of that was that the Bible gives kind of a round number for some of these guys in the Old Testament. So without adding months or days, you have a nice round number for Moses. And so they just assumed he was born on his birthday. And the most holy man who ever lived was Jesus. And therefore, many within the early church thought that he must have died on his birthday. And so the ancient Christian writer Tertullian, in a writing called Adversus Judaeos, he states that Christ suffered in the month of March at the time of the Passover on the 8th day before the calends of April. And so that day would have been March 25th. So if that was also the day of the incarnation, it explains why the early church set the date. So if you count 9 months from March 25th, you get December 25th. And so that's kind of right or wrong is despite the point, right? But this is what they're doing in the early church. You have a number of individuals, 2nd, 3rd century, already outlining these things, right up until you get to St. Augustine in the 4th century, who once again gives us the date of December 25th. So it's not some offhanded thing. You have a number of early Christian writers discussing this, talking about the why, and then no evidence in sight of them saying, oh, and also, one of the reasons we did this is because Sol Invictus or Saturnalia, or, well, we really want you guys to come, and you're already used to this date, so.
The other thing I would say, too, is that to the extent people say, well, of course they wouldn't admit it. It's like, one of the things I find so fascinating about the Bible is the fact that they're willing to admit all kinds of mistakes and ideas and sin.
Religious people are so crazy. I know, dude. They really are. Good to see you, MTB Samurai. I don't think I've seen you here before. Welcome to the TGDEU.
You don't generally see admitted by the authors themselves or by the people advancing a particular faith in ancient writing. You don't see a lot of examples of Egyptian pharaohs admitting to their faults, right? That's not exactly the thing. Okay, so we can establish when we look at early attestation, we can establish kind of a 200-year gap between the Christians claiming this day for the celebration of the incarnation versus the Romans kind of having a moving date for their particular celebrations. And then you can also point to this idea of people like Julian and whatnot demonstrating a certain degree of frustration with certain Christian holidays taking precedent over pagan celebrations. And then again, this reverse, right? Actually, they're the ones trying to kind of take that day for the pagans by adopting one that the Christians are already popularizing. I also find it interesting that it seems like for a lot of people that look at this, a lot of lay historians will be generous. Christianity for them seems to begin with Constantine, right? Like it's whatever we've adopted, they just say, well, Constantine's the one that did that.
What are they crapping on about? Oh, they're talking about how Christianity is actually not Christianity. Christmas isn't a pagan holiday and all this bullshit. I mean, just your typical right-wing grift type stuff.
And clearly we find that that's not true when you look at the writing. What about this idea that, okay, fine, we'll concede the point, you Christians, we think you got the date wrong, but you still picked 25th, so it's a Christian holiday from its inception. But you still stole a bunch of pagan rituals with respect to your Christmas trees and your wreaths and all these other things that you do, all these other practices. What's the response to that?
Yeah, well, I think one thing that's pretty common online, especially on social media, that we should keep in mind is that correlation does not equal causation. So even if we do see some correlative evidence, say, pagans are using wreaths, and Christians later then use wreaths to celebrate Christmas.
I like how, these people can't. It's so strange to me how they can't just admit, like, yeah, some things we took from it. Everything has to be Christian, and it has to be 100% Christian, or else it's not good. Like, is that? I don't know. It just makes no sense.
You put a wreath on your door. We also have to make sure that we're showing causation. Can you actually show a causative link between Christians liking wreaths and pagans liking wreaths, and Christians showing evidence or admitting to borrowing this from pagans? That's something we need to directly kind of point out.
Wait a second, you need to tell me that it's possible for both Christians and pagans to like trees?
Well, and the thing about that is, it's really interesting because sometimes I hear these people saying, okay, well, the giving of presents and feasts and merriment. And I think, name me a festival, a group, a birthday party that doesn't include something analogous to that. Like, it's just so broad that we have to be careful. Now, Christmas trees, the claims that Christmas trees find their origin in, like, maybe druid pagan practices, bringing pine trees into one's house to ward off evil spirits or something like that. If you look at the evidence, Christmas trees only go back to the 16th century in Europe, and the first mention of Christmas trees is in an ordinance in the 16th century. So almost no early pagans thought pine trees were sacred, let alone associated with, say, December 25th, right? Germanic tribes believed that the oak was sacred. Maximus of Tyre said that the Celts worshipped Zeus and they would honor him with a lofty oak. But an oak tree and a pine tree are different, right? You don't have to be an arborist to know the difference between a tree that has a leaf and a tree that has a needle. But there's actually an interesting story that attributes the Christmas tree to Martin Luther and the Protestant Reformation, where there's this, it's apocryphal, right? It doesn't necessarily go to his time, but there's a story of him walking in.
Interesting. So there's an interesting story that's in the apocryphic texts that are not held in high regard by the Christian majority. Very interesting how you want to talk about that one. Very interesting.
in the forest in Germany at night and seeing the light of the moon refract off of the snowflakes coming down on the trees and thinking, how beautiful this was. And so in honor of this kind of moment in winter around the Christmas feast, erects a tree in his house. That could be true, and that could have started this tradition. But either way, we don't have any kind of tangible evidence until the 16th century in Europe, where this then not just becomes associated with that, but then gets tied to Christmas. And slightly before this time, we actually have people celebrating the story of Genesis chapter 1 and 2 with a tree that you would bring into your house and would basically be, I think they called it a life tree, and they would hang apples and fruit on it to
Oh,
represent the tree of life.
Life Day is canon in Christianity, guys. Life Day is canon. You guys remember Life Day from Star Wars? Well, I guess that's canon. That's super cool. That would probably convince more Christians to come on board than fucking whatever this guy's spieling.
In the garden. And that eventually, the idea is, could have morphed into what we find with a Christmas tree. But it's a Christian thing. It's pagans weren't doing this. Pagans had all sorts of festivals and things with trees, but there's no evidence that either it was a pine tree directly or that Christians started copying it from them.
So if the like you said, I think it's again the causation.
It's like watching
correlation
people
component,
debate if Magneto can defeat Deadpool. It really is. I'd say he's got a good chance. You got to catch him early. You got to catch him without the helmet too.
Oh, well, they were engaging in feast, and pagans engaged in feast. It's like,
right,
I think everyone did. That seems to be a little bit ridiculous. A ridiculous argument to make to suggest that there was pagan influence on this. So if the date is decidedly Christian by verifiable historical evidence, and when we talk about the use of the Christmas, well, let me ask you this:
verifiable historical
evidence. We talk about the other. You talk about the 16th century. So again, anybody that's trying to take us back to Druid roots, you would have expected a lot earlier attestation for that. So if we're talking, what was the first written kind of confirmed historical evidence that we could look at addressing the use of a Christmas tree?
It's a good question. I mean, I don't know the written source off the top of my head. I know that you do have some of these writings that mention it within particularly Germany and particularly the 16th century in Europe specifically. I do believe that it was brought over to North America by the British eventually. But the sources are very much like in the modern era, right? Early modern era. I mean, arguably, they're as old as the King James Bible is, right? So 1611 is the King James Bible. The earliest evidence we have for Christmas trees are about 100 years before that. So it's not.
Nick, he's a major
Christianity had become the dominant faith.
Chronophile.
That's a good point. Druidism and European paganism hadn't been around for hundreds of years at this point, right? So if you're going to try to hypothesize that Christians were trying to borrow pagan ideas, first of all, you have to point out that they even knew that those Druid pagan ideas existed, which for this period of time, the historical records, they weren't widely available. They couldn't hop on the internet and look things up. They would have had to dig. And even if they did, I'm not sure they would have realistically found all that much from a period of time where there wasn't a whole lot of writing. Most of what we know about pagan Europe is not actually from writings. It's from archaeology. And even then, what we do know about, say, the Vikings is largely written down by the Christians who were being pillaged by them. So it's unrealistic to think that the first time we do see Christmas trees or pine trees being associated with Christmas, that those are then plagiarized or kind of copycatted from pagans. Is during a time when paganism was not just out of vogue, but basically dead.
That's true. That's true. They'd probably think the Marvel movie were documentaries.
And dead for a couple of centuries.
Well, I think it's also important to recognize that you're also talking about a point in history. Again, we're so used to the modern era where societies don't take religious belief as seriously as they did back then. And the idea that you would be, a couple hundred years after a lot of these pagan societies had adopted Christianity, that they would then go back and attempt to co-opt what was considered to be pagan beliefs within their own religious ceremonies, that would be considered heretical. So it seems like there would have been a very, very strong, not only religious, but cultural tendency to avoid adopting anything like that would have been seen as violating your Christian faith.
Yeah, and there's just no evidence for it. So, I'm fine with interacting and engaging with theories, but when we're literally making arguments from silence range on bad to terrible.
Yeah. So we kind of addressed that the idea of the date, the reason for the date, who was adopting it, the various traditions that we now kind of associate with Christmas. What about Santa? As one of my good friends said, if you change the words around, it's actually Satan.
Right.
Here's
yeah.
my question.
It's
what is the deal with Santa and how it's worked its way into the Christmas tradition?
What type of weirdos are you talking about?
Has been co-opted one way or another to actually take Christ's place as the center point and the focal point for Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, historically, Santa, as we know it today, is kind of a combination of Sinterklaas from Germany, Kris Kringle from Germany, Father Christmas from England. But if we're talking about the modern Santa that we think of, it can only really be traced back to the 1800s.
Christians. I bet it's going to be Christians.
Dutch immigrants in New York. So the Dutch came and brought Sinterklaas, also known as St. Nicholas. And his feast day was on December 6th. And it was actually moved to December 25th because that was the time that people would gather together for the Christmas holiday. So it was a Roman Catholic feast day that was eventually kind of subsumed into the birth of Christ, into the Christmas holiday. And newspapers promoted it and encouraged people to give gifts on Christmas instead of New Year's, like it was traditionally in North America before that. But Sinterklaas was rebranded from sort of the Catholic tradition by the Dutch in New York in around the same period. And that's when you start to get the red suit.
All right, I'm going to hop on my Discord. If anybody wants to call in, you can hop in on the Discord and I will be there. Here, I'll send the Discord link. Let me invite to server. Copy that. There's the link in the chat. Hold on. If anybody wants to come and engage, I don't think we'll get many people because MAGA MAGA is feasting right now on whatever they eat. But we'll see. We'll see. I know Lily wanted to hop in, so I'll send a message to her real quick. There we go.
Pop up after the Santa was exported around the world to different countries, and it added new spins. Stockings were also promoted around this time period and can be traced back to a Finland in the late 1920s, and they all kind of get grouped into the same story. So there's this like mythological drift with all of these different individuals. When the British
never mind. Looks
settlers
like
come,
Lily
they
is
also
busy.
bring Father Christmas, which was a tradition in England at that time too, and this gets adopted and kind of branched into all of these different characters.
We got
Saint Nicholas, Santa Claus,
people.
and
If you
then
guys want to join the
Chris
Discord
Kringle
and debate
originally
me
was
on any points, feel free to. The link is in the chat right now, and it should also be in the description.
Christ Kringle, and it was part of a celebration of Jesus's birth, Jesus's baby, and then all of these just become the same thing as time goes on. And then we give presents because the stores want you to buy presents, but the origins are very, very modern. So I've seen accusations of it going back to Babylonian myth, or this is actually Odin or Thor or something like that. It's not the case. When you actually look at where these things start to pop up in the why and the when, they're pretty modern and they're pretty innocent in the grand scheme of things.
Well, I think that's important too. Is when people, you see this a lot. I mean, we see it today all the time with events that are currently ongoing. Forget things that happened 2,000 years ago. We have events that happened 3 weeks ago that there's wild speculation about what is going on, and various things are offered as evidence, which a little bit, let's just say I'm a little bit skeptical. But in the end, when we're talking about good history, because that's essentially what this is we're trying to look back and we're trying to find what are the earliest writings, what are the earliest origins of these various traditions, and how do they evolve over time. I mean, I guess what you're saying is like you can always point, like I've seen this before when people try to tie various Egyptian gods to Jesus and say, oh, see, they're just ripping off the virgin birth from this over, and then you do even a little bit of digging and you realize, okay, but that's like literally the only thing in common, and to suggest that because one thing is shared in common, therefore it's the same thing, or it takes its origin from that, is horrible analysis. We would never consider that.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. They think that's horrible analysis. I'd be interested to see how many of the analyses that are very similar to this that he has done in the past. Because I know he has a couple examples of this.
The study of history, by just finding two things that were similar and saying that they came from one another or came from one or the other. What are some of the processes? So, for instance,
almost like him, all right. Anyways,
what are some of the key things that you look at to distinguish between kind of like wild speculation versus that which we can look at with a certain degree of confidence, both because of the historical evidence that we have and let's say maybe the logical consistency with respect to what we see across space and time?
Yeah, I think everything we should treat on a case-by-case basis. I think, as I said before, I started out kind of investigating these things with the idea that they were pagan, and I was just curious as to how the development of them being taken over and replaced, how that came into existence. And what I started evaluating, and when I started to see, particularly the methods by which people applied in doing that history, I was actually surprised not only that the evidence wasn't there, but that we do see these kind of broad brushing parallelisms that you're talking about, this parallelomania. And we find that, I think that kind of peaked in the Jesus mythicism era of like the early 2000s. It was very popular with, there's a kind of a informal documentary, The Zeitgeist, which popularized some of these ideas, or the movie Religulous by Mar. And these things are said, and they're just put out very confidently. But it's, we can step back and we can say, okay, you're saying Horus, the Egyptian god, is born on December 25th. Well, let's look into that. What you mean? December isn't a month in the Egyptian calendar, anyways. But we don't have a birth story for Horus that correlates to any particular date. And when you look at, is that a virgin birth? Well,
okay, I was about to say we don't have a birth story for. I was about to say that's not true. But he corrected himself.
Not really. His father, Osiris, was cut up into a bunch of pieces. He was thrown into the Nile in kind of this spat with his brother Set. And then Isis, Osiris's wife, goes and she finds all the pieces of Osiris. And then she wraps him up. This is the story of the first mummy. She wraps all his body parts up, but she can't find his organ, his phallus. And so she makes one out of wood and she turns into a bird and hovers over it and becomes pregnant with
he can't find
Horus.
his
So basically a carbon copy of the nativity story.
Exactly what we would describe as a virgin birth, to the T.
This is another thing that I want Christians to understand, because I know when I was growing up in the church, there was a lot of things that we just kind of believed without really, we just accepted. And we really didn't dig into the evidence much. And I remember for a good part of my young adult life kind of thinking, yeah, this is what I believe, but I wasn't necessarily impressed with the scholarship. And then I started to get challenged in ways that bothered me. And I remember a guy I went through the Special Forces intelligence sergeant course with, and him and I ended up debating a lot of other people in the class about various things, Christian related. And he was the one that told me, he goes, Nick, I really think you need to dig more into Christian apologetic. And the reason why that was so important for me is that when I grew up in kind of a very, I don't want to say seeker friendly, because sometimes that suggests that it was doctrinally unsound, but kind of heavy on the emotion and the experience of Christianity, as opposed to the truth of it, especially the truth that can be ascertained through the history, through archaeology, through reasoning, through science. And I got to tell you, my faith just really kind of came alive, and it emphasized to me this whole concept of when we were
really came alive inside of
mind, spirit, strength, mind is a part of that. And so I just really encourage people that I know growing up as an 80s and 90s kid, there was almost this idea that, well, yeah, Christianity is something that we believe, but the hard sciences have kind of proven that a lot of this stuff going back is, well, we're just not sure, and what really happened, and how much of this is grandiose wish fulfillment on behalf of Christians. And it wasn't until I started to really lean into it that you start to recognize that you don't have modern science without the church. You don't have so much of what we rely upon to conduct sound reasoning or
Without the Christian church, we would not have modern science. You sure you want to say that, Bubs? You sure you want to say that? Because what culture was far more ahead scientifically before Christianity started popping off? That would be the one they are very afraid of.
Scientifically rigorous observation of creation happens as a result of people wanting to more desperately understand God's world, as opposed to trying to fight the horrible church that was constantly trying to silence any sort of dissent. And you start learning how much of the historical narrative, the modern historical narrative, really is rooted in people with a grudge against Christianity, as opposed to doing really
with
good
a
scholarly work.
grudge.
It's another
Oh
reason why
my
I've appreciated
God,
watching you so
listen to
much
that.
on social media, because I do think you not only have done this scholarly work, but I see the way that you present it in a way that I think is very, very accessible to the layman. And just
Any
as you've done here, I have one more
criticism is
question. This
just
one isn't so
someone
much about
holding
the
a
taking place of
grudge.
Christianity, because I think you've done an excellent job
Interesting.
of explaining how that just doesn't bear out with the evidence that we have available to us. What do you say to the other argument with respect to Christmas, which is Christians shouldn't be celebrating this anyway? Why would you celebrate something that the Bible doesn't expressly state or suggest that you should or command you to? So how is this not, in a strange way, just a different kind of distraction?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of respect for the motivation behind the question. I think it probably reveals a motivation and an intent that is something we should be kind of thinking through. What are the areas of our life that are reflections of an act of worship to God? And in kind of thinking through, is this really something that I should be participating in? I think, a lot of people are probably, they have the right mindset, the right methodology, but maybe the actual motivation, so they have the right motivation, but maybe the methodology in terms of actually following through might not have been as well kind of articulated. So let me just say the incarnation and the birth of Christ, along with, Jesus' death and resurrection, is the most awesome event in all of human history. Yeah. Why wouldn't we want to carve out some specific time to celebrate such an amazing event? Why wouldn't we purposefully set aside a chunk of time, like Advent, to build
because
up
God didn't tell you to. Aren't you supposed to be aren't you supposed to do what God says? Like, God didn't command you to do that, bruv.
Of our coming Savior. And I also think, Paul, when he writes to the church in Corinth concerning those who were worried about eating meat sacrificed to idols, addresses this. He says, so then about eating food sacrificed to idols, we know that an idol is nothing at all in this world, and that there is no God but one. For even if there are so-called gods, whether in heaven or on earth, as indeed there are many gods and many lords, yet for us there is but one God, the Father, through whom all things came and for whom we live. And there's but one Lord Jesus Christ, through whom all things came and through whom all things live. And so God made everything good, right? And just because maybe someone tries to corrupt and twist something, like a cut of meat, or maybe for that matter a pine tree, it doesn't mean that they're successful. So just because something has maybe a meaning in paganism,
but it doesn't
mean that is how God.
It doesn't say continue to do that. Does it? I don't think so.
Sees it. And at the end of the day, I would never advise someone to go against their conscience. If you truly believe that the modern Christmas practice, particularly, I think there's probably a good reason to kind of be wary of the consumerism that's surrounding it, is something that you don't want to be part in. I think that's fine. I have no problem with that. But I think it's when people start saying, well, no other Christian should be participating in it, that it's wrong, that it's anti what the Bible says. I think that's where we really go astray.
I think that's interesting when Paul says anything not from faith is sin. That seems that almost seems confusing until you look at it within the proper context of this idea that one person celebrates one day and another person celebrates another day. Are they celebrating God in a way that they should? And insofar as that is their intent and that's how they're executing it, then if they believe that that's a proper manifestation of its faith and it doesn't engage in any sort of heretical practice or whatnot, is that really something to fight about? And I feel like Paul's saying no.
Yeah.
Well, so not only that, but I've also been confused this idea that we shouldn't establish holidays to celebrate things that we believe.
Yeah, it's like in 40K, some people worship the emperor different ways. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's like 40K basically.
Through and took place in part because when I look at the Old Testament, I look at the various festivals and celebrations that God set up for the Jewish people, for old Israel. There's tons of them. and it's amazing how it wasn't just the days, it was actually certain things that would be done on those days and certain meals that were supposed to be shared, or the Festival of Booths. All of these things were about remembering. And it's amazing how God is constantly telling his people, remember, because we have a tendency to forget. And so I think that when a festival or when a celebration, again, properly recognizing, and again, not falling into any sort of heretical tendencies that the Bible warns against, I can't see what would be problematic about that.
Yeah, and I think let me say two things to that, because I have heard the rebuttal, okay, we have these celebrations that are laid out in the Old Testament, in the Levitical law, in the Torah, and so, well, then why do Christmas? Because you already are given ones that God has prescribed for you to do. And I would actually say, read the book of Hebrews. All of those things were pointing to Jesus. The reason why that they're done away with in the Old Covenant is because these are shadows, the author of Hebrews says, of Jesus. He's the one casting the shadow. And guess what? You can celebrate that. And you can celebrate that at maybe Christmas and Easter. Those are good times to do it. And those are times that the church for close to 2,000 years has done that. I think these are beautiful motivations. The other rebuttal that I often find is that, why celebrate something that is, maybe they'll grant, okay, well, those feasts aren't they're done away with, but the Bible never tells us to celebrate the birth of Jesus. And I would say, that's true, but just because it's not directly in Scripture as a kind of go and do this does not necessarily mean that it's against Scripture, it's anti-Scripture. And actually, we have Jesus himself participating in Hanukkah. In the Gospel of John, the Feast of Dedication in Jesus' ministry, he travels to Jerusalem and appears, the kind of plain reading of the text is that he participates in that. Well, that's a feast, that's a festival that happened between the end of the Old Testament and the beginning of the New Testament.
Yeah, but that's Jesus,
chronicled in the apocryphal books, right, Maccabees. But it is not something that was prescribed by the law, by God himself, for the Jewish people, God's people, to participate in. And yet, that's what they did, and that's what Jesus did. And you know why? It's because it was celebrating how God had saved his people, how this amazing act of the rededication of the temple from the Greeks taking it over, and the Greek emperor sacrificing a pig on the altar of God, to Zeus, terrible desecration of that, and then that gets rededicated, and they look back and they celebrate that and they say, this is an amazing work of God. Well, like I said before, what's arguably the greatest work of God? Well, him stepping out of eternity into humanity, and the second person of the Trinity is a baby, and then living that perfect life, and that's what we can celebrate on December 25th.
So, and that leads me to the second part of this that I wanted to ask you about. And so, look, I think you've done a wonderful job of explaining the Christian origins of both the holiday, the various practices and ceremonies and whatnot, and their their true origins as opposed to
all inspiration for Jesus and that story. The concept of the afterlife came from the Greeks, and Hades became hell. Yeah, I mean, I think it does the, honestly, if you were a Christian, I feel like this would do the faith a disservice to just not admit that some things come from other things. I think that's kind of part of Christianity, is that your religion is able to adapt, because at the end of the day, it's all about accepting Jesus Christ, right? That's what it's supposed to be about. So, I don't know why it behooves them so much to be like, well, yes, that did come from that, but
kind of the popularized pagan origins. My next question goes into a little bit more like, why should we be confident? So, yeah, sure, the Christians started it, but why should we be confident that the Christians were basing this off of something that actually happened? So when we talk about the nativity, when we talk about the wise men, you will see people that will kind of talk about apparent contradictions within the Gospels with respect to what they talk about or what they leave out versus, between the various books of the Gospels. Give us kind of like the Cliff Notes version, and I'll throw in some questions as we go, but why should Christians feel that this is not just it's not some mythological story that we're talking about? These are actual historical events that we are celebrating surrounding the birth of Christ.
Yeah, I think there are a number of things that we can say to that. I think we can say that...
Bro, what? How are you gonna do, like, how is that possible? You can't just... Are you asking for proof of Christianity? I don't think you're gonna get that, brother. I hate to tell you. I don't think you're gonna get proof of fucking Christianity.
The gospel authors go to lengths to communicate that what they're writing is history. Luke has his purpose statement right at the beginning of his gospel. He says, many have undertaken to draw up an account of the things that have been fulfilled among us, just as they were handed down to us by those who are from the first, eyewitnesses and servants of the word. And he says, with this in mind, since I myself have carefully investigated everything from the beginning, I too have decided to write an orderly account for you, most excellent Theophilus, so that you may know the certainty of the things you have been taught. The gospel authors go to lengths to try to communicate that they're writing history. And what's really interesting about Luke's preface is that what he writes there is actually is synonymous in his preface with other prefaces from other Greco-Roman writers like Josephus and Lucian, who also provide these formal prefaces to their writings and talking about here's how I'm outlining good history. So we have precedent within the Gospels to say that they're not writing myth, they're not writing fiction, they're not writing an epic poem, they're aptly attempting to communicate what is actually history. So in Luke, so go ahead.
No, so that's important, right? Because some people are going to say, okay, well, that's what they said they were doing, but that is what they were actually doing. And it actually is important to establish, first and foremost, when I go into the bookstore, right, I differentiate between the fiction section and the history section, right? Mm-hmm. When an author starts off with saying, because for instance, if Luke had said, I'm going to weave this tale for you,
people in the past differentiate between the history and the fiction section? I would say they didn't. I would say fact and fiction is very much intertwined within that that sphere.
This is some sort of mythological component, but the fact that he starts it off, and in fact that all the Gospels, none of them seem to be discussing any of these events from the perspective of some sort of, this is not about talking about the birth of Zeus here. They're laying out specific things, but so that's important, right? The first thing is to establish that the authors actually believed they were writing history. But what do you say to things like, okay, fine, I trust that Matthew and Luke both thought they were writing history, but then they wrote different genealogies. So how do we explain that?
Yeah, so there are a number of ways that we do this. I actually have a blog on my website that outlines some of the reasons why this particular thing took place with the genealogies, because this didn't go unnoticed in the ancient world, right? It wasn't that, up until the modern era when, we become smart because we're a product of the Enlightenment, that all of a sudden we realize, oh, wait, hold on, those two genealogies don't match up. No, there have been people, since people have been reading the Gospels, who have noticed this and said, okay, what is going on here? Now, there's a number of different explanations as to the genealogy question. One of them is what's sometimes referred to as the legal or physical portrayal, and that is that in Matthew, it's said to be presenting an official line of the Davidic kings, not necessarily of his actual descendants. So the point by the author being to show that to the reader, that Jesus is in the line of Davidic kings and that Joseph has a claim to being connected to that line. Luke, on the other hand, within this particular theory, would be giving us an actual physical descendancy. So there is definitely something to say to the fact that Matthew is making a more theological argument with his list of descendants. In fact, Matthew's genealogy curates the people who he includes, at least in part. And we know this for symbolic purposes. If you cross-reference Matthew's list with the genealogies and say the book of Genesis or Chronicles or Kings, where we have some of these individuals listed, we can see that Matthew duplicates and even leaves out certain individuals entirely to make his argument. And the answer to this kind of puzzling choice lies in the fact that if we count the names that are listed, we get 3 perfect sets of 14, which totals 42 generations from Abraham to Jesus. Now, this is an act that's purposeful. He's not being misleading. He's not making a mistake. He's attempting to present the symbolic message to the reader that Jesus is in fact the Messiah. And so the relevant question is, well, how is he doing that? Well, in Judaism, in ancient Judaism in particular, there was a common concept called gematria, where letters held numerological value. And so this is what we see present in certain ideas and concepts. So David's name in Hebrew, for example, is Dalet, which is the number 4 in gematria, Wow, or the Hebrew letter, or Vav, which is the number 6, and then Dalet. So Dalet, Vav, Dalet, right? 464. If you add those up, it gets to 14. And so one of those, I think, is probably what's going on, because numbers had very significant meaning in the ancient world. That's why we see kind of numbers pop up. 12 tribes of Israel.
Have to move on. Sorry for all my Nick Freitas fans, but he is just boring the ever-loving shit out of me. So, with that being said, let's oh, the PBS NewsHour. Yeah, let's finish off with the PBS NewsHour. Might as well.
Report, which first aired on PBS News Weekend.
And are they talking about the floods? Which I think that's pretty important. Let's talk about the floods. Hope you guys have been enjoying this Charlie Kirk Christmas.
Moving our economy for 160 years. BNSF, the engine that connects us.
And with the ongoing support of these individuals and institutions.
Shout out to all of them. They're all Chads and Stacys, supporting public broadcasting. If I ever make it big, I'm going to make sure to carve out in my will that I want public broadcasting to be funded.
Welcome to the NewsHour. A powerful storm battered California, triggering mudslides, severe flooding, and multiple evacuations. At least 3 people were killed, including a sheriff's deputy. It's a record-setting Christmas Day for rain in the Golden State.
Rest in peace to that sheriff's deputy.
Tomorrow. Officials are warning travelers to reconsider holiday travel plans, as dangerous conditions may only get worse. As floodwaters engulf a home in San Bernardino County, a rescue helicopter lands to evacuate the family that's stranded up on the roof. Tim Needham filmed this incredible scene.
We saw there were a bunch of emergency lights down at the end of the road, and we walked as far as we could without getting swept up in the water, and saw that there were people that my neighbors that were on top of the roof. 3 people on top of the roof, just sitting there and waiting.
Similar scenes played out across Southern California today and yesterday. Roads turning treacherous, with mud and debris forcing the shutdown of major highways. On hillsides badly burned by the massive fires earlier this year, a deluge like this can loosen the soil even faster, making conditions even more dangerous.
In the canyon areas here, we have very steep terrain, and we have the creek here behind us. So the burn scar, it doesn't give water the chance to saturate into the ground.
Northern parts of the state were also slammed with heavy rains and wind that triggered mudslides in multiple communities. And in the mountains, huge amounts of snow blanketing the Sierra Nevadas. In Wrightwood, a ski resort town in the San Bernardino Mountains, officials issued a shelter-in-place warning for residents who didn't evacuate and now must watch as muddy waters course through their town.
There's a little low bridge there. That's the one that's completely covered, had
At
a
least
car
it's
in
pretty
it,
well.
and
The
that's gone now.
services
This
are pretty well
colossal
funded in
downpour,
California.
triggered by a storm known as an atmospheric river, also knocked out power earlier today for nearly 150,000 people. These conditions prompted California Governor, Democrat Gavin Newsom, to declare a state of emergency in multiple counties,
sir, you
with the
mean
National
demon
Guard
crap,
on
right?
standby. As this humid subtropical air from California blows across the country, much of the U.S. was unseasonably warm on this holiday, with temperatures in some parts of the Midwest and South 15 to 30 degrees warmer than normal, making Christmas, for millions, feel more like spring. In the day's other headlines, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said he had a very good conversation with top U.S. negotiators about ending the war with Russia. Zelensky's call with Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and President Trump's son-in-law, Jared
I'm sure
Kushner,
Trump
comes
promised
days
that
after
they
he
would be
said
done
he
with
was
the
open
war
to withdrawing
by
troops
the
and
end of this
creating a
time
demilitarized zone
next
in his
month.
country's east. It's not clear whether Russia will agree to that proposal, which must also go to Ukrainian voters in a referendum. Turning to the Vatican on this Christmas, Pope Leo, during his first Christmas Day sermon as pontiff, condemned the treatment of Palestinians in Gaza and called for an end to all wars around the world.
Well, that's good.
Fragile è la carne delle
I
popolazioni
agree, we
inermi.
should end all
Fragile
wars.
is the flesh of defenseless populations, tried by so many wars ongoing or concluded, leaving behind rubble and open wounds.
Leo led Mass inside St. Peter's Basilica and then addressed a rain-soaked crowd from the loggia overlooking the square. He called on leaders to find peace through dialogue, and he offered a variety of blessings.
Inglese. Merry Christmas. May the peace of Christ reign in your hearts and in your families.
Unlike his predecessor, Leo, who is the first U.S. Pope, offered Christmas greetings in multiple languages, including
Hey, that's
in English.
dope.
Around the
I
world,
like
there were
this
more
Pope, by
Christmas
the way. He
celebrations,
seems really cool.
some full of unique holiday cheer, others coming amid challenge and hardship. Air sirens briefly interrupted the bells and songs of carolers in Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, as a Russian drone flew overhead. The celebration, with traditional costumes and Christmas stars, went on undeterred. And in Bethlehem, where Christians believe Jesus was born, Christmas Mass and festivities were held for the first time in more than 2 years since the war in Gaza began. Back here at home, it was also the final Christmas Mass for Cardinal Timothy Dolan at New York City's St. Patrick's Cathedral. And one very lucky Powerball player in Arkansas is having a very Merry Christmas indeed, having won the $1.8 billion jackpot.
There it is. Finally,
tickets
people
out.
can
Let's
fucking
play them.
stop coming to my goddamn gas station looking for Powerball tickets, dude. Holy shit. I'm telling you guys, gambling is such a fucking issue and nobody takes it seriously. Dude, gambling is ruining a whole wealth of people's lives. And nobody really takes it seriously right now, but it is such a big problem.
The grand prize win last night ended a nearly 4-month streak without one. All that time without a winner drove the jackpot to near record levels. This was the second largest U.S. lottery jackpot ever. If the winner opts for the one-time lump sum cash payout, that would earn them, before taxes, about $835 million. Still to come on the NewsHour, a new generation of smaller plug-in solar panels grows in popularity in the U.S. A new fellowship honors the work of aging lifetime jazz musicians with financial support. Photographers
cool.
Derek and Beverly Joubert describe their 40 years of capturing dazzling images of wildlife in Africa.
Fun. Sounds like it's
This
we,
is the
we got a
PBS
good news hour.
from the David M. Rubenstein studio at WETA in Washington, headquarters of PBS News.
By the way, if you guys haven't already, go
We turn now to our video
subscribe to
podcast,
PBS
Settle
News.
In.
They're amazing.
Amna Nawaz recently spoke with Erin Carmone, the journalist behind the book The Notorious RBG, as well as a new book about pregnancy called Unbearable. It tells the stories of 5 women in New York and Alabama as they navigate a new post-Roe landscape. Here's an excerpt of that conversation.
God,
women
that
in my
must be
book,
hard.
most of them, some of them are pregnant more than once throughout the course of the book. Most of them actually are not looking to end their pregnancies. They want to keep their pregnancies. They want to raise their children. But as I report on in the book and as I tell their stories, which unspool over the course of before, during, and after pregnancy, the way that American medicine and law has been set up has profoundly
Completely fucked
limited
these women.
and harmed and cruelly treated too many people who find themselves in these situations, whether that's needing miscarriage care, whether that's having respectful and safe birth care, or whether that's seeking to end a pregnancy.
The fascinating thing about the stories as you share them is that even when you expect things to unfold in a certain way because of someone's socioeconomic status or because of where they live, some of these same things and same challenges and same treatments ring true.
I won't lie,
even
this
there. And
book
I'm going
does
to
kind of
unpack all
sound
of that. I want to talk to
interesting.
you about some of those silos you mentioned there too. But I have to put to you this one line when you were talking about why you wanted to write this book in the very first few pages, because this stuck with me. You said, "What's clear to me from my years of reporting and my own experiences is how incomplete our story of American reproduction has been, and how much has been unexpressed, hidden, or taken for granted." The incomplete part stuck with me. What did you mean by that?
Well, first of all, we can't have too many stories about what this profoundly life-changing experience can do. I think for me, the real inspiration for writing this book, the actual moment, even though in some ways I was leading up to it in my entire career of reporting, was being pregnant. I was 6 months pregnant for the second time when Roe v. Wade was overturned with the Dobbs decision. And I was 8 months pregnant when the decision was finalized.
One of the reasons I am immortally proud of my state that I live in is because they put it in our Constitution to uphold Roe v. Wade. I am so damn proud of my state for that. And I'm also proud of my state for allowing trans women and men to change their driver's license. I'm telling you guys, Kansas is an amazing place to live. Okay? Nothing like it, baby.
And for me, one of the stories that I wanted to tell, I was covering the decision as a reporter at New York Magazine. I was writing about all the implications for policy and for law and the dynamics of the decision and the holding. But I was also feeling in my bones what it would mean for this profound change in American law and life, how it would actually affect people. And I did not need an abortion. I did not seek an abortion. I was really excited to be pregnant. But I also found myself thinking, why hasn't anybody talked about what an enormous physical and grave undertaking pregnancy can be in the context of even when you want to, and what it might mean to force this on someone. I'm not saying nobody talked about it, but for me, it was something that I felt in my bones. I felt it in my blood. I could feel like in the extra heart that was beating inside of me.
A lot of these policies are made
without from that opinion in particular. And from the way Leah wrote about it,
asking of
the seriousness
women.
of pregnancy, regardless of the circumstances you find yourself in. So one of the parts that I thought was incomplete and inexpressed is that you might think of yourself, unexpressed, is that you might think of yourself as never needing this kind of care, right? And there are women in the book who I write about who never thought they would be in this situation.
Right.
And find themselves seeking a kind of care that is stigmatized, that is illegal, that is secret, or that they will be punished for one way or another. And so it felt like the best way to tell that story was I started a little bit by weaving in my own personal story, even though in many ways it's not an extraordinary one. But I think the very fact that for me, as a married, white, upper middle class, privileged woman who literally reports on this for a living, the feelings that I had of being made
she's
feel
white.
smaller,
Get her.
or less than a fully adult human in control of my own decisions.
Did she just admit to being
during
white?
my pregnancy were so instructive for me, because I thought, like, what chance does anybody who doesn't have all of this going for
She's
them
out of the
have
club now,
in
guys.
this
She just
system
said
that
she
says
was
that the moment
white.
you become pregnant, you have fewer constitutional rights, you have fewer rights of autonomy in medicine, you will be treated like, to quote one of the women in my book, a child animal. And that's not to diminish the fact that my pregnancies and many other people's pregnancies were deeply joyful, and I was excited about them. But that's not a reason to diminish the individual pregnant person's humanity.
For that full conversation and more episodes, check out our video podcast, Settle In, or on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. For years, solar power at home was mostly limited to people who owned their rooftops and could afford the upfront cost of putting panels up there. But that's changing as a new generation of small plug-in systems are making clean energy more accessible. Our report, which first aired on PBS News Weekend, comes from Laura Kivens of PBS station KQED in San Francisco.
Agnes Chan is a retired teacher in Berkeley, California. She wanted to install solar panels on her home, but was limited by her fixed income budget.
I've looked for a long time and even consulted my roofer, but there's no way that I can afford that.
So she found a cheaper workaround and is one of the newest adopters of plug-in solar. She hopes to rein in bills that run into the hundreds, even with a thermostat set to 60.
It's a great house that I have lived in for over 35 years, but there's no way to insulate it. So I'm shivering in my own house.
No, we
Instead
lost
of
him,
tens
a
of thousands
soldier.
of dollars for rooftop solar, Chan's setup costs $400 and took less than an hour to install.
This is the app which will show me how much the panel is generating.
And rather than taking a decade or so to pay it back, it will likely take her 2 to 3 years.
We are systematically removing the barriers.
Cora Stryker co-leads the nonprofit that
interesting.
provided Chan with her panels. They bring plug-in solar to renters, people in multifamily housing, and other Americans shut out of rooftop systems.
These things are modular, they're tiny. You can put them just about anywhere. You can add on as time goes on. So it's less big upfront investment all at once.
I think this is smart, honestly.
From plug-in carports to balconies, entrepreneurs are investing in this emerging market.
Now that you've seen the possibilities for installations in various scenarios.
But there's a major hurdle to widespread adoption. In most of the U.S.,
me
it's
guess.
not legal to just set up these systems and plug them in as envisioned.
Our next topic on the agenda, so-called plug-in solar.
At a recent online forum hosted by California's utility regulator,
So it's a
Eamon
dead
Hoffman,
Christmas?
who works for
Yes.
the state's largest utility, PG&E, said customers must comply with regulations and pay fees as if they were setting up a rooftop system. Utilities say that helps them manage energy supply and demand. But plug-in
By the
solar
way, good to
advocates
see you,
say their
Jerry. I
systems
haven't
should
seen
have
you
a
in
simpler
chat before,
registration
so
process.
thanks for
World
stopping by the
headquarters
chat.
of Brooks Engineering.
We asked an independent expert to weigh in.
So these panels were from early 1980s.
Bill Brooks is an electrical engineer who specialized in solar for 37 years. He helped write California's code that governs how solar connects to the grid.
There's 78 solar panels. I call it my solar garden.
He says there are risks to plug-in solar.
If the product didn't have the proper certifications,
Yep, I
then
think
there would
we
be the
lost.
possibility
Damn it.
that
We are
somebody
not
could
getting,
energize
good
a
scores on
down
this
power
one.
line that could injure a lineman.
But Brooks says the barriers can be overcome by updating existing tools.
This is a microinverter used in things like plug-in solar, and it has a certification. And we have
Folks, by the way, if
National
you're enjoying the
Electrical
channel,
When
please
these
remember to
safeguards are
like
in
and
place,
subscribe.
Brooks
It
doesn't
really
see a
helps
need
out the
for a
channel,
lengthy
gets
or
me out
costly
there in the
registration.
algo.
And he says independent organizations are working on a safety standard for the technology.
We drop ship this to our customers.
But plug-in solar companies and their customers aren't waiting for regulators.
Here's the instructions.
Bay Area resident Joe Tenenbaum considered rooftop solar when his electricity bills started rising.
A good amount of sun even from the morning on, and then it's going to move.
But it would require replacing the roof too, and costs quickly ballooned.
And we don't own this house. This is my parents' home. My wife and kids and I moved in with them when my mom got sick. It's not feasible for them to make a $100,000 investment in a rooftop system, and it isn't either for us. I'm excited about it.
Tenenbaum liked the idea that they'd be able to take their panels with them if they moved.
Wow, feel how light that is.
For $1,600, he bought an 800-watt DIY kit from Craftsdrum.
All right, should we build it? Yeah.
He liked how they built safety measures into their technology. The company also advises customers to register their systems. The panels won't power the whole house, but will keep Tenenbaum's refrigerator humming and small appliances charged. He expects to save 5 to 10% on his monthly utility bill.
That's insane, dude. 5 to 10%.
Co-founders and brothers Michael and Steven Scherer say demand for plug-in solar
Like, why isn't Trump
growing.
trying to implement policies that actually do lower the cost of energy? Like green diversification of your resources, or like from where you gather your resources, is one of the main things on lowering cost. It provides competitiveness. Like, It's just
Here
so
in California,
mind-numbing.
people are telling us about the time of use rates that double as they come home and actually use power. And then the second motivation is becoming part of the green revolution.
House Bill 340.
Legislators across the country are taking note.
We know they're safe just because they've been doing this for 3 or 4 years now, and it's worked out well in Europe. But
Earlier this year, Utah passed the first legislation nationwide that will allow plug-in solar with no registration when certain safety standards and codes are set. Similar legislation is in the works in several other states, including New York, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, and Vermont.
My panel is producing 645 watts per hour.
As for Agnes Chan in California, she's hoping to stay warmer this winter.
I expect to be comfortable instead of shivering in my own house, wearing a down jacket and a blanket to watch TV.
Even if everyone in the U.S. had these panels, plug-in solar could only cover a slice of national energy demand. But experts say every bit.
But just, yeah, every bit matters when it comes to energy savings, guys.
Of renewable energy counts.
Big moment here. I'm very excited about this new system. Just unboxing it felt like opening up a gift.
We have solar. That's all there is to it.
For PBS News Weekend, I'm Laura Clivens in Northern California.
Thank you, Laura. Much appreciated.
So for this next story, we need to warn you. If you have small kids in the room, you may want to mute this and come back a bit later because we're talking about that visitor from the North Pole, okay?
No, dude. Let me get... No way. Is Santa in the files? No, dude, this is fucked. Is Santa in the files, guys? That's so messed up.
This Christmas Day, many good boys and girls welcomed that familiar visitor last night, the jolly man in the red suit with a sleigh full of gifts. But that white-bearded figure that we all recognize as Santa Claus, he is a relatively modern creation, shaped over centuries. Stephanie Sy recently talked with an author who unwraps the surprising history of Old Saint Nick.
That author is Jerry Bowler, and his book, Santa Claus, A Biography, traces how the legend of our favorite bearded gift giver evolved over centuries.
I don't think you have,
Jerry, it's such a pleasure to have you on the News Hour. So I want to hop right into it. Is Santa Claus, and I quote from the book, a figure of mythology or a creature of literature or a tool of a clever capitalist?
He is a wonderful myth. About 1,700
no,
years
Santa's
old.
real.
American
I'm sorry.
in
This is some absolute... Santa's real,
a
guys.
Conspiracy by families. So it changes over time.
St. Nicholas was an actual 4th century bishop. What was he most known for?
No, St. Nicholas was the man who summoned Santa. We all know this, and made him a tulpa.
He was known for generosity. But when he died, a cult grew up around him inside Christianity that made him the most influential, popular male saint on the Christian calendar. He was the patron saint of so many things, but probably his most famous miracle in the Middle Ages was his resurrection of 3 murdered boys who had been chopped up.
What? I didn't know Santa did this.
He discovered this and put them all together again. So he becomes the patron saint of children, and thus, around maybe the 12th century...
Bro, Santa's fucking crazy. He's got resurrection powers?
And the church said came on December 6th to bring presents.
Santa's insane, bro. Resurrection powers.
So, Jerry, it sounds like there's this darker side of the Santa Claus legend to talk about here that a lot of people are unaware of.
Well, in the 1500s, when Protestants abolished the cult of saints, parents had to have some kind of magical gift bringer. They still wanted that aspect. In many places, they turned to the Christ child. In French, you call it Le Petit Jésus. In German, it'd be Das Christkindl. The Christ child is certainly a great Christian symbol, but he lacked 2 things that St. Nicholas had. One, the baby is obviously not going to carry a big sack. And 2, he's not scary. And St. Nicholas could scare kids into good behavior. So what happened in Germany and in Northern Europe was that the Christ child started becoming accompanied by scary helpers. They carried a whip or switches or a chain.
Now, isn't that
in Austria,
sweet?
of course, we have Krampus, which looks exactly like the devil. So he's one of those scary helpers.
So this goes back to your first answer, which is there was this conspiracy of families. Are they basically at the root of the Santa Claus that we know today?
Those
a
damn
number
families.
of New York poets and thinkers and rich landowners wanted to make St. Nicholas the bearer of good things and also a bit of a threat to bad kids. The first poem that takes St. Nicholas out of his Catholic bishop's uniform and puts him in a fur-trimmed red robe is called A Children's Friend in the 1820s. It's a poem that describes this Christmas Eve midnight gift bringer who comes equipped with a reindeer-powered sleigh. The next year, Clement Clarke Moore takes that sleigh, multiplies the reindeer, and writes a poem for his family.
And the poem you're referring to there is 'Twas the Night Before Christmas.
'Twas the Night Before Christmas, a visit from St. Nicholas. And it goes viral, as it were. It's adopted by families
Whoa,
first in
it
the
goes
northeastern
viral?
United
They had
States.
phones
Then
back
it spreads
That's
to Canada
crazy.
and throughout the rest of America.
So, in other words, there's sort of this amalgamation of traditions that are folded in and layered on.
That's the nature of Christmas. Christmas is very adaptive. By 1900, Santa is pretty much set, though, except with the addition of Rudolph in 1939.
Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer.
And despite all kinds of efforts by
He had a
Hollywood
very
and
shiny
commerce to make him
nose.
in their image, he's remained pretty stable since then.
Why do you think the legend of Santa Claus has endured for centuries?
Because it is so valuable to families. St. Nicholas is this embodiment of generosity, of unmerited favor, to which you add a fantasy, a midnight gift bringer from someplace enormously exotic, powered by reindeer, for crying out loud. It serves to give kids an idea of fantasy, of generosity. So as long as families continue to love Santa Claus, it doesn't matter what Wall Street or any particular denomination happens to be for or against him.
That is Jerry Bowler, the author of Santa Claus, a biography. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy holidays.
My pleasure, and Merry Christmas.
You mean happy holidays. You mean happy holidays, right?
Unless you're a real jazz aficionado, you might only know a handful of the greats, Louis Armstrong or Duke Ellington, Coltrane or Miles. But there is a legion of players who've worked their entire lives playing this music, many of them doing so with very little fanfare. While they've earned the respect and gratitude of their peers, many have struggled to earn a living. A new fellowship honors them and helps lend support in their later years.
I don't know why I laughed at that.
Jeffrey
My
Brown
bad.
reprises this story for our Arts and Culture series, Canvas.
So here it is.
At 68 years young, New Orleans-born and raised jazz drummer Herlin Riley is ready to bring a smile with his tambourine. And back a band on stage.
Hey.
From childhood to today, practicing, performing, teaching. He's worked hard to make a life in jazz, including playing with the likes of giants such as Wynton Marsalis and Ahmad Jamal.
It takes commitment. It takes commitment, and also to be to recognize where you stand of the people who are around you, your peers. Am I good enough that I can make a living? Am I good enough to be accepted? Am I good enough that I'll be getting the phone calls to make a living? And
because you don't always know.
You don't always know.
Yeah.
But I tell my students all the time that if you go into music for any other thing other than the passion and the love of it, you should do something else.
At a recent concert at New York City Winery, Riley performed as part of the inaugural class of the Jazz Legacies Fellowship. 20 musicians, all 62 and older. The fellowship comes with $100,000 to use as the musicians want. for creative projects they always hope to take on, or for housing, medical, and other personal needs.
We're in the after
Four-year
show, so
program is
we're just
funded
kind of
by the
watching
Mellon
this right
Foundation,
now.
for the record, also an underwriter of
I'll
PBS
probably be
News,
wrapping up here in a minute.
partnership with the Jazz Foundation of America, and honors seasoned jazz musicians who may not have achieved huge popular success, but have continued to work and contribute to the art form they love. Another Jazz Legacies Fellow, 90-year-old pianist Valerie Capers.
90 years old, that's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, but you're still doing all these things, so you're not stopping anything.
Oh, no.
Still at it, but remembering well the early days.
My challenges in jazz are to, as you say, to move into it and to be able to maintain myself for this, well, you're right, quite a period of time.
Yeah. Blind since age 6, Capers studied classical music at the New York Institute for the Education of the Blind. But she also fell in love with jazz. Her father was a friend of Fats Waller, and she recalls having to hide her new passion from her piano teacher.
She had no use for dealing with anything that would be jazz or that would be anything like that.
Anything but classical
That's right,
music.
that's right, none whatsoever.
Capers ended up taking Saturday classes at Juilliard to get her jazz fill.
It was exciting just to be around who were playing this music that I just loved and enjoyed so much. The music brought smiles and laughter and energy when you would play the music. They would just enjoy it.
Capers went on to a long career, including leading a trio, playing with the likes of Dizzy Gillespie, and decades of teaching. Another veteran pianist and newly minted fellow, 80-year-old George Cables. The native New Yorker grew up seeing Thelonious Monk, Charles Mingus, and John Coltrane, and was hooked.
Hearing the music is one thing. Seeing it and being there while it's being made and watching an iconic figure like Thelonious Monk is something else.
Through the years, Cables has played with jazz legends including Sonny Rollins and Dexter Gordon. But his career hasn't been without obstacles, not only keeping up a working routine, but dealing with serious health problems, including a liver-kidney transplant and the amputation of a leg.
Oh, geez.
It was there things that I had to go through in order to do the things that I want to do. This kind of thing, and the music is a wonderful thing to be involved with this music, with jazz especially, because it's a living music. It's always changing. But, you know, the business is kind of difficult. So it's good to know that there may be fewer things to worry about or to be as concerned about as I may have been.
Feel like the music industry can be a bit ageist. We've heard time and time again important jazz musicians who shifted the sound, who passed away poor, struggling, had to do a GoFundMe, you know, to put them to rest in a proper way, and that always breaks my heart.
Melanie Charles is a jazz singer, flutist, composer, and producer. At 37, she's a generation or two younger than the 20
Don't you have to
fellows.
register to be one of
But she
those?
says she was honored to be on the selection committee of professional musicians and scholars that picked the first group.
You will have cult following. You'll go to Russia and people will know all your albums, but you're gonna go home and you just might struggle financially. You might not be able to pay your rent or your mortgage, or you might have an album
of course
that you
they're
want
going to
to
know
finish,
about
your
you in
life's
Russia.
work.
They haven't had an update in music in that long. Of course they're going to know about you in Russia.
You've never been able to have the budget to make it happen.
A protege of 87-year-old jazz bassist Reggie Workman, who was her teacher in college and one of the 20 musicians selected, Charles says a common thread among the fellows is their commitment to the next generations.
A lot of the jazz masters, you find that in the career, they're always hiring younger musicians. Why is that? It's because they understand that that fresh sound is so important to pushing the music forward, and it keeps them bright and fresh.
In fact, several of the band members playing with Valerie Capers at this performance were musicians she's taught.
Oh, I get tremendous satisfaction because it's almost like a parenthood in a sense, because you are passing on to others that are close to you who have spent time with you.
George Cable says this fellowship has energized him. He's writing new music, collecting and organizing older works into one volume.
So you're 80 years old, you're still writing music, and you're still performing music.
That's what I do. That's my life, and that's that gives me breath, that gives me life, that gives me energy, that makes life worthwhile and meaningful.
As for drummer and tambourine man Herlin Riley, he too intends to play on.
Ah, bravo. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Jeffrey Brown in New York.
All right, folks, I think we're going to end it on, well, let's see. Yeah, just fucking more pictures of animals. All right, folks, I'm going to end it here. This was a little holiday special I decided to give you guys, so make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the stream. I'll be live tomorrow at 12 p.m. because we're going to be doing a special for the Epstein files, so stay tuned for that. Other than that, you can join my Discord where I occasionally go in, or join the Loner Discord. I'm in there pretty frequently. And yeah, just make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Let me get some outro music. Move out, folks. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.